This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, good morning everybody and welcome. At the moment we are trying to track down an animal that we don't see here very often. In fact, there it is right there, so I'll introduce myself just now. What's it chasing? It's chasing after something. It's going to cross the road. It's chasing a scrub hare. That's amazing. So it's a jackal that we're looking at, a side-striped jackal that is hunting at the moment by the looks of things. So we're going to try and catch up with it. There it goes. It looks like it's chasing a scrub hare around, which is amazing. We don't get to see jackals hunting all that often at all. There it goes. It's running in front of us. It should come out onto the road fairly shortly, but we're not going to be able to see it. Hold on, BK. There's a big tree in the way, of course. This is how it often is with jackals, is that they run all over the place. There it goes. Hold on. We'll hopefully get one glimpse of this jackal as it runs away from where we are. There it's going. Now it's stopped for a bit. It's obviously on the hunt at the moment, so I'm going to move my spotlight away so you can hopefully see where it's gone. Oh no, now I've lost it too. It was right there where there it is, BK. It's going through the grass there. There it is. Can you just see it in the background? So it's a side-striped jackal that is busy moving around, and these are not animals we see all that often here at Djuma. Jackals used to be a lot more numerous than what they are now, and unfortunately their numbers have dropped quite a bit due to many different reasons. So we don't see them nearly as much as we used to now. While we try and catch up, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got BK this morning. Chaotic start to the day, but well worth it, I would imagine. There's lots of you out there that like seeing the jackals, so I hope you're enjoying the start of our morning. Now we are looking around, and I think it's because of this jackal that impalas were alarm calling on quarantine. But we're going to try and see if we can just search around in case there's something else. But this trotting through the grass might have spooked the impalas quite a bit. Now what I'm going to try and do is, it looks like it's running off towards Zoe's road. So I'm just going to loop around quickly and see if that's going to work. Remember, we are coming to you live from South Africa this morning. Kenya, I think, is going to be having the morning off, and so it will be myself and Ali out on drive and James Hendry on foot. And so you guys can interact with us on #safariLIVE on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat. Remember to keep it relevant to what we're seeing, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. Hopefully you will ask lots of questions, because otherwise we won't be answering much at all if there isn't participation from all of you. Good. Now this jackal, where have you gone? It ran this direction, so I'm hoping I can catch it here somewhere. But it was chasing a scrub hare, which is, I haven't seen jackals hunting scrub hares in ages. It's been a long time. Obviously in the Mara we see a lot more jackal than what we do here in Djuma. But like I say, an actual sort of hunting, chasing jackal, not that often have I seen it. It's funny though, the side stripes tend to be a lot more kind of active in looking for food than what the black-backed seem to be. But I've lost it now. I don't know where it's gone. It might have gone back towards sort of quarantine. Let's just turn a little bit and just see. Sometimes a different angle helps. No, I don't know where it's gone, unfortunately. Anyway, that was pretty epic way to start our morning, that's for sure. I certainly think so anyway. There goes some hyena tracks, and right, no sign of this jackal, I'm afraid. We're going to go check Gallagher Pan. We're going to go scratch around, see if we can find if there was anything else making the impala's alarm. And in the meantime, let's send you across to Ali so she can say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. It is a very chilly morning today. It's overcast and we have got jerseys on. Not exactly polar vortex cold as many of you are experienced, but still enough for the African summer. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Seb, and we are very happy to be taking everyone on a morning drive. If you've got any comments or questions, use the #safariLIVE or at FC on the YouTube chat. Now, we were very excited this morning when we started hearing the impala alarming, and there was a lot of commotion. Everyone running to the cars, grabbing radios, spotlights out, and well, it did turn out to be a predator that was annoying all the impala, and I'm very happy that Tristan managed to get that side-strapped jackal on camera, because we don't see them a lot around here, so it's very nice to actually be able to spend some time with them, especially when they're doing very interesting things. Our plan for the morning, well, I think seeing Seb is with us, we're gonna go face a very jungly-like place in Djuma in South Africa. I say jungly because it's a very dense block, but there's a reward. In that block, a young leopard was left yesterday. Little Tlalamba was up there, and apparently Thandi was left going back towards where Tlalamba was after Tingana stole her kill. So who knows, maybe they'll be around. Maybe we'll be able to get lucky with mother and daughter today. So we're gonna go and try, see if maybe we can pick up any tracks or, any spots, which wouldn't be too bad. It's a good day for cats. So hopefully they'll be around. Hopefully we'll have them. So we're gonna go look for them. We are still far away from the general area, but fingers crossed we'll get there within the next, I would say, 20 minutes or so. Just driving very slowly in the morning also because we cannot see the road all that well, and it's a little bit hard as the sun starts coming out because we don't want to miss any tracks that might give or point out where an animal's been or where it's walked or so on. So it was quite funny when we were looking for that jackal. We were obviously, of course, imagining Hosanna was back on quarantine because why not? Spotlights, everything else, and then we were like, oh, what is that? Yes, sorry, I just heard something. Sounded like a baboon alarming. I think it's the second one, so maybe let's go down to Twin Dam, see what's happening there. Alright, we're gonna have a detour. Because we hear far in the distance, a little bit further south from where we are. I just need to find the road. It sounds like there are baboons alarm calling. Now, I heard them yesterday when I went out in the afternoon with Trichala and Toli and Lauren. And then we've heard them now a little bit earlier. And so it's worth checking. Maybe there's something that the baboons don't feel comfortable with in the form of a predator, perhaps lions, perhaps leopards, perhaps, cheetahs. Gonna put it out there in the universe. Maybe they'll come. Sorry, scrub hairs. Oh my goodness, this car has got so many lights. Sorry guys, so if you saw those two little things in front of us, those are scrub hairs. Ages, it gets pretty cold for African standards, let's put it that way, in Djuma during the winter time. So when we go out for drive in the mornings, it can be about, I don't know, what was the average last year, would you say, Seb? 7 degrees in winter. Yeah, 8, 9 is the normal average. The problem about the cold is because when we get in the cars, you see we have no roofs, no windows, no nothing, and no door. So the wind creeps in a way that is not nice. But even for me, that I am probably the presenter that gets the coldest the quickest, I'm wearing shorts this morning, so you should all be good. We're going to carry on listening a little bit, see if maybe we can find what the baboons were alarming at. But while we do that, we're going to send you guys back across to Tristan, see what else is lurking around.
Well, as you can see, we've now managed to find ourselves a herd of ellies on quarantine as well that are just rumbling away as they feed off the various items that are all over quarantine at the moment, and that goes from anything like marulas to little forbs and grasses that are coming through. It looks like at the moment that they're not feeding on marulas at all. It looks like they're actually kind of trying to find something that is growing. But essentially, we came back towards quarantine just to double check if these impalas maybe had seen something that we had missed. I'm pretty sure they alarm called at that jackal because the alarm call was quick and it wasn't for long. And sometimes jackals, just the way that they move through the grass, can kind of trigger that alarm call to take place. And so we just came back and then bumped into this beautiful little herd of ellies, and it looks like 5 of them in total. I'm just double checking to see if it's maybe not short trunks herd. It doesn't look like it as yet. All the elephants that we've got here look as though they have got full trunks at the moment, but very, very, very cool. Now, Rex is just talking on the radio. Cool, thanks Rex. Copy that, we can hear them as well. So he's just talking about the baboons that are alarm calling, and so Ali is going to go and have a little look there. Maybe it's those tracks that I had for that leopard yesterday, which was Hosanna. Well, I thought was Hosanna's tracks. I mean, I don't know for sure, but maybe it is his tracks. Given that it's still the 2nd of February somewhere in the world, we can try and see if we can find him for his birthday. It would be a late appearance, and last night, actually, funny enough, I do need to tell you all about this because I had quite a cool sighting with Tingana. We were sitting with Tingana very last we were out there until about 7:30 actually, and we were sitting on this termite mound very close to where you last saw me with him, and he was sitting and he was very sleepy, and at about 7:30 all of a sudden we heard a little squeal in the distance, and Tingana went from a very sleepy cat to a Formula One racing car, and he went flying off this termite mound and ran straight south, and we followed him, and eventually we kind of threw blocks and all kinds of other things. We got into a area with a drainage line, and crossed the drainage line, and we found Tandi, and she had just killed a steenbok. And then Tingana came racing and chased Tandi off the kill, stole the steenbok, and proceeded to demolish it in about 5 seconds, and he finished it up. By the time we left, there was actually just very little left of what was going on there, and so he kind of chased Tandi off, and then Tandi went off back towards where Jamie had Kalamba. So all of the relatives showed up on his birthday, which means that hopefully we'll start to kind of see him appearing at some point during the course of this morning's drive. It will be a late show, but at his age, I suppose he's like a teenager now. Teenagers don't want to have their birthday at home anymore. They want to go out on the town and have fun, and maybe now he'll kind of do the walk of shame back in late this morning, that we can at least get a view of him. So cool, but I mean, unfortunately, it's the problem with the kill that they had is, even if we wanted to show you, all of you, and I was thinking is we could have maybe done an unscheduled broadcast, but it is unfortunately just in an area where we had zero signal in Torchwood. It was right in a drainage section, and so now we just don't get signal in that area, unfortunately. Anyway, isn't this beautiful, watching the Ellies walk through quarantine? I'm so busy talking about leopards that I haven't really been talking about the Ellies, but a beautiful kind of view. So, Rosemary, you say you're not speaking to Asana at the moment, considering his behavior over the last couple of days. And yes, I think that's a fair call. I said that I would sing him a happy birthday if he decided to show up, and he didn't, so he doesn't get a happy birthday song, unfortunately for him. No happy birthday song will be sung until such time as he shows his face. If he shows his face this morning, well, I'll consider it, although technically it's a day late. But we'll forgive him if he shows up this morning. If not, well, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Exactly, classic birthday brat. And we will find him, and then we'll have a stern talking to him that he disappointed many people on his birthday, and that it's time to sort himself out and pull himself towards himself when it comes to big events like a birthday. Maybe it's because it wasn't a TV show. So this afternoon is our TV show for SABC, so no doubt he'll appear. Oh, there's a hyena with the elephants. Hello, hyena. Now, which hyena are you? Are you one of our lactating females? If so, we might go on an adventure following a hyena around, which is tricky at best of times, but we might try. I want to just quickly get closer to that hyena just to see. I wonder if this hyena is also not attracted here because of the fact that it's there was those alarm calls that might have driven that hyena to come and investigate like what we have, and then kind of meander on. But I want to just double check who it is, and if it's a lactating individual, well, like I say, we're going to try and follow it through and see what happens. What's interesting is that it sounds like there's a hyena den somewhere where they think possibly Chitwa. We just didn't get a confirmation from the guides yet, which will be interesting. And on top of that, is that the last night when I was sitting with Tingana and Jamie was with Kalamba, the two of us could hear constant whooping, which is often a sign of potentially where dens can be. And we heard it all coming from that sort of southern boundary, Torchwood, Chitwa, but definitely that side, not the Little Gowrie side. And so I wonder if maybe, just maybe, the den isn't moved onto Chitwa, which would be quite nice because apparently the little Gari den has moved. Now, who have we got here? Ooh, it's so dingy, I can hardly see any of the markings on this particular individual. Turn your head for us, let's have a look. I'll need all of the experts to help us. With the naked eye at the moment, it's still too dark to really even discern spots, but I suppose on the infrared, you can see a little bit easier. It definitely looks like it's lactating. I can't see who it is, to be honest with you. I want to hazard a guess that it's maybe one of our big girls, but it is lactating. So, Nina, the reason why the elephants don't care about the hyena is because essentially the hyena is not going to do anything to them. It's on its own. It's not rushing around them and causing a big fuss. It's just ambling past nice and slowly, and by itself really doesn't pose too much of a threat to the elephants at all. So you'll find that it's really, the elephants know they're bigger, they're stronger, and they don't have to really stress too much. But like I say, it's definitely one of the lactating females. So let's follow this hyena as far as we can and see how we go. You never know, maybe we're going to get lucky and we're going to find the den on Djuma. Sandy, you say it looks like ribbon. It could very well be. It's not corky or pretty. But if it's ribbon, she is suckling. There's very definitive suckle marks on her tummy, or it looked like it at least. So ribbon was probably who I was going to go for. The ears look quite clean, but like I say, I mean, it's still dingy. You can see we're in infrared at the moment, so it's a bit tricky with a naked eye. You guys have the ability of being able to pause a shot on the screen and being able to just ID it from that, but we'll try and figure it out. So try to get a little bit closer. I don't want to get too close as she starts to run. Ideally what I want is for her just to walk nice and gently, because if she goes into a block and she starts running, it makes it very tricky for me to be able to follow her, whereas if she walks like this, then it should be fairly easy. So we're going to try. I mean, it's going to probably take a while and it's a little bit unconventional, but this is sometimes how you be able to find a hyena den, is by actually following a hyena that's walking around. Now, of course, Ribbon, for those of you who don't know Ribbon, this will be her first, I mean, not her first litter. She's had a few litters. Intima is one of her offspring, and it's about time that she's had another one. Are you going to drag me through this block? Really? Okay. Well, we're going to have to follow her through the block, I suppose. Now, Emma, can you just repeat the question for me? Sorry, I was so busy thinking about Ribbon's lineage that we've seen, or that people may know, that I actually missed completely what you said. Sorry about that. I know. Varnet's neither, I'm afraid. So you're asking, is it a striped or a brown hyena? No, it's not one of either of those. This is a spotted hyena. So it's got little spots all over it, which gives it away. A brown hyena is a very shaggy coated animal with long brown fur. It looks very different to the spotted. And then the striped hyena has got stripes rather than spots. Now, brown hyenas have been seen in this reserve. Used to be very common in the Kruger National Park system about 60, 70 years ago. But the last known den site for a brown hyena within the Kruger Park system was close to Skukuza Camp. And then there was one seen in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, on Gari Main by one of the Wild Earth vehicles. Otherwise, I don't think anyone would have believed them. And so that's the last known sighting of a brown hyena that I know of in this particular part of the world. Striped hyena, only in East Africa. We don't see them down here. We do get aardwolf every now and then, especially near in coral, but striped hyena only up in East Africa. I've luckily actually seen a striped hyena before. Beautiful, beautiful animal. Saw it in Tsavo National Park, which is on the sort of southeastern side of Kenya. It's an area that is quite arid, right up in the northern parts of Tsavo, in a place called Ithumba. And there was this striped hyena that used to come to the camp every night. So we used to just sit and watch it from our room. It was very cool to watch. It was a pretty epic thing to see it going around and doing its business. Now, of the 3 hyena species that we're talking about, the spotted hyenas are the most kind of successful as a predator, and I say predator more than I say scavengers, because these guys are hugely adapted to being able to hunt. A lot of people always refer to hyenas as scavengers, but actually they probably scavenge in some places less than what even lions and leopard do, so they're more kind of predators in some areas. But anyway, we're going to keep up with what we think is Ribbon. I want to get a really good view. Hopefully she's going to slow down soon, and in the meantime though, let's send you across to Ali and see how she's doing with those baboons alarming.
Hopefully it'll be Ribbon. Maybe she can shed some light in the whole hyena den mystery. Maybe she'll take Tristan somewhere interesting. Fingers crossed. We did manage to find the baboons. They were up a beautiful jackalberry tree, that big jackalberry close to Twin Dams, and they were alarming in the general direction that seemed east from where they were, but there's a very big steep bank, so we couldn't really see all that much. And then we've gone around, we've tried to check around Spotlight. Luckily now the sun is starting to shine through the clouds, so I'm sure the being able to see what's actually on the road is going to help us a little bit. But no luck for now, not too many things here out and about, but we're going to carry on north. See if maybe we can catch up with Tandy or Tlalamba, and who knows, maybe the baboons were actually looking at them. But it's hard to tell because they were on the very top of the tree, and then as you may know, baboons have a way of being able to look very far away from, or seeing things moving very far from where they are. So I think this was one of those cases where they perhaps were looking at something that was quite away from us, and we just didn't get all that lucky. But we're gonna still try. The morning is young, isn't it? So we can still try our luck, and who knows what'll be around here. What are these tracks on your side? Hyena tracks. Okay, not quite the animal that we're looking for right now. Hopefully we'll have leopard luck. I agree, Emma. I think positive thinking is going to bring us a leopard today, or maybe a few, maybe more, maybe a family reunion. I'm pretty sure Hosanna is somewhere enjoying a birthday cake, an impala cake, maybe with some kudu topping, or who knows what he's having. But of course we had to do it for him, and it was going to be the only way that he wasn't going to show up for his birthday, and we're like, no, wait for me. We've been watching a show, and there's a very famous catchphrase from How I Met Your Mother. So I think Hosanna's playing When I Come Back, it's going to be legend, wait for it, dairy. So maybe that's his angle. Maybe that's why he's trying to play us all. I am getting excited that I can start turning off some lights. At least this is gonna be. Thank you, Emma. I think Emma enjoyed my legendary joke. Good. That's what I go to bed to every day now with Tristan, because that's what he likes watching. So well, that's our lives at the moment. Complaining about the leopard that didn't show up for his birthday party. I'm sure he had good reasons. Maybe he was detained. Who knows? Maybe, yeah, I mean, if he found food, we've got to give it to him. All right, what is here? No leopardy tracks here, or lion tracks. I am hoping, though, I think Shidulu might be not too far from the boundary. So hopefully, and this is like big vibes into the universe. Come Shidulu, carry on coming to Djuma, like we've got space for you. Hopefully she'll come and she'll bring those little hukudulus running around, her little two fluff balls that have been so utterly cute. Every time I see a photo of them, when you get that warm feeling in your heart and you're like, please come this way, we want to see you. It would be lovely. I'm sure it would be. Because last time I was freelancing and I could drive on those properties, then she hadn't brought them out just yet. So unfortunately, I still haven't seen them either. So I am hoping she's going to bring them on to Djuma. I told Tristan I wouldn't be surprised if she does. But of course, she's got tiny little cubs, so she's got to be very careful as to where she moves them and why. If the lions spend a lot of time here, then that's very likely that she won't bring them to the same areas, and it depends on also the female and leopard pressure that she gets on the other side. Because she had them initially close to Simbambili. There's a very big area that is almost used like a dump site, but for organic material. By organic material, I mean like trees that they do clearing and so on. And apparently she had them there initially, and now she's moved them, and I think she's moved them a third time. So they are getting a little bit more mobile, a little bit up and down, starting to go and feed on kills with the mom. So we've got a good chance that as they grow that they're going to start, because we do know that she do like to go around that northwestern area of Djuma. So that would be her spot. And I am hoping that she's going to come and bring them to us. You can always hope. Now, for Tanya and Lalamba, as I was saying yesterday, I've only seen Lalamba, I think, twice. Once a year, maybe. So hopefully they'll be around there. It would be lovely to catch up with them, because we're not having anything luck on where I've been freelancing. But seems like Tristan is still trying to follow Ribbon, or what we think is Ribbon. So hopefully he's had some luck. But let's go onto the other side and figure out if he's actually managed to find anything.
Indeed, it does very much look like Ribbon that we have, and so I'm 99% sure that it is her. And we had a sort of take a breath moment, because she walked on top of a termite mound and sat there and started sniffing around, and I couldn't see if there was a hole or not, and I was half expecting little ones to come bounding out, but alas, no little ones came out, so she's still on the move. The problem is that the route she's taking at the moment is going to be very difficult to follow her shortly. If she goes across this next drainage line, we're going to have a real struggle to try and kind of keep up with her, which is not ideal. And so I'm hoping what she's going to do is use the road and then go across a little pathway, which is not too difficult for us to kind of follow her. If she goes sort of left or right of that, unfortunately we're going to have to go around and just hope that we catch her on the other side and then she doesn't change direction. But it's going to be a little tricky, I'm afraid. I was hoping she was going to take a bit of a different path. At the moment, it looks beautiful and open, doesn't it? It looks nice and easy, but once it starts to kind of get off this towards the drainage, it just gets quite nasty. Sean, why do hyenas go out alone? Well, for the simple reason that when hyenas move and go and look for food, if they had to walk around in a clan all the time, what you'll find is that they are never going to really cover any distance. So you'll have everybody will be in one place, is going to make it that they can only cover a certain area as they search for food, as well as to try and keep, rival clans out. But if everyone splits out and covers different areas, that means the kind of increased ability, to be able to find food items, which they can then, if they need help, call, and the rest of the clan can come and they can try and then sort of chase lions or various other things. Two is if they've come across any interlopers, they can again call and others can come. And there's a third reason why they also spend time on their own, and that's because of the ranking system. So the high-ranking individuals are not going to really want to hang out with the low-ranking individuals, and so everyone kind of drifts and does their own thing, unless, of course, like I say, there's a big meal, in which case the calling will start and everybody will come in to aid and support that individual. Right, Ribbon, are you going to take us the friendly way? Ooh, looks like we might get lucky here. It's going on the game path, or roughly the game path that I was hoping. Oh, sorry, I went into the wrong gear there. That I was hoping she would take. Here we go. Just depends where she actually goes from here, but looks like she's kind of just sniffing around. Sorry, I know we haven't seen much of her because she's been kind of mobile the whole time. She hasn't really stopped, so I'll just have a brief kind of look. But there's definitely looks like teats there that have been suckled on, and so I'm thinking that she's got little ones. I mean, we say this, but we're not 100% sure. Right, so now I'm going to try and follow her through this difficult part, and which means that it's going to be kind of a bit all over the place. And so while I do that, let's send you up to James so he can get out and on foot and say hello.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Sunday morning stroll here from the western ranges of the great Kruger National Park. My name is James Hendry, and I'm lying in the sand, because that's what one should do on a Sunday. Please talk to us using the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter, otherwise you can use the chat stream on YouTube. We have got David on camera today. Hello, David. Hi. Yes. And we are hopefully going to follow up on those alarm calls that Ali heard a little bit earlier. We have got some impala beyond where I'm lying here now. And they have been accompanied by some elephants here on quarantine. We haven't seen the elephants. We probably won't carry on to find them, because we do want to follow up on those alarm calls. Remember, everything today tends to focus on the television show that takes place this evening, and so we need to try and establish some sightings this morning, and so that will be our goal, to find out what on earth those baboons were shouting at. Maybe it was Hyena, maybe it was the Djuma Pride. Are we leaving now, David? We are. Okay. Nancy, you say that it feels like you haven't seen me forever. Well, I feel like I haven't seen you forever, Nancy, as well. I've been in quite a bit behind the camera of late, with Hawley and with Trishala. But here I am again, don't worry. Thank you for noticing there, Nancy. I fear most people haven't. Now we've got a beautiful sunrise coming, a nice pinkening sky, so that's very nice. And I think we're in for another very nice day. We've had some beautiful weather over the last week or so. It hasn't been too hot at all. And there have been some nice clouds floating by. There is the lovely pinkening sky. Do you show it to us, David? It's not too much trouble. I'm told by Emma, aka Lovely in the final control, that this is rather cinematic. Well, I don't know really what that means. Does that mean it smells like popcorn? Is it in... We've now spotted the elephants. Come. Rexon has spotted them. Let's have a quick look at them. He's pointing over the top of quarantine clearings. That's the clearings that we're in over here. There's also a wildebeest over there. Lots going on. Let's check the wind quickly. There's no wind to speak of, so that's good if you want to view elephant on foot. Gosh, what a morning. As the sun's come up, so the dervs have started their endless call. Well, that's... ooh. Some Egyptian geese, David. Can you get them handheld? Well done. You're very skilled. Flying into the beautiful sky. Well done. Alright, let's keep going. Just over the top here. Now with elephants, of course, you want to keep some cover between you and them. We can't actually see them yet. Yes, cool breeze, elephants do make a noise when you're eating, so that you can hear them. Normally it's the breaking of branches, the snapping. If they eat grass, you have to be pretty close to them to hear them, because they just make a ripping sound. You hear whack, whack, whack. But other than that, they are very silent as they walk. They're more silent than human beings as they walk, if they want to be. No, that's a termite mound. It's not an elephant. Let's just keep going along here. I think we'll get a view over the top of the ridge crest, which is also an ideal place to watch elephants. You want to be up above them, so you've got a bit of height. Okay, we'll see if we can get into a viewing position. Let's go back to Tristan and Rebon.
Well, as you can see, we're still sitting with Ribbon, and she's just done probably one of the most delightful things you could ever imagine. You would definitely want to kiss from Ribbon now, because she just ate a whole bunch of lion poo, which is delightful, and it smells delightful. So can you imagine her now just slobbering on your face after eating lion poo? Let's see if she picks up another piece of lion poo. Yep, there's some more that she's eating. Lovely. Isn't that delightful? It doesn't smell good. Now, it's quite common to see hyenas do this. I've seen them do it before. But it really doesn't make the stomach any easier. But while she's stationary, let's just go back to her teats, if you can, BK, because I want to try and see how... There we go. So that looks like a very clear indication that there are little ones somewhere. You can see those teats are quite swollen, and there's definitely sort of hair loss around them. Now, that's often an indication that a hyena has got little ones. It doesn't look like it's heavy with milk, so I'm not sure if maybe she's either already or is about to give birth or has them already. I'm not sure. It's difficult to see because she's not heavy with milk, so maybe she's still pregnant. She does have a sort of roundish tummy, which is interesting, but those teats definitely are a lot more swollen and a lot more visible than what you normally would see from a hyena. Now, of course, she's going to block. There we go. So it does look like it, doesn't it? Have you given birth yet, or are you about to give birth? Tricky sometimes, especially if they only have one. Hello, girl. So she's obviously smelt the lions and is now milling about in this area. The problem is that she's going into the worst possible place. What I'm hoping is she's just going to sniff around because she just smells the lions. I'm hoping she's not actually going to go back the way we just came, because that's not going to be very pleasant at all. But what there is at the moment is a beautiful sunrise as well, which you guys can see there. Some very pretty color. Oh no, wait, ribbon's coming straight back to us, so BK can show you that while she kind of heads in our direction. But isn't that pretty? It's a beautiful kind of morning that we've got at the moment. Very pretty indeed. Now, where is she going? Seems like she's going to go behind us. Ruben, honestly, do you have to go that way? Why don't you just come back to where we are? Let's see. Aegis, well, their milk, is... A lot of people don't know this, but their milk is very tasty. In fact, in some parts of Africa, hyenas are milked instead of mother's milk. So they feed it to babies because it tastes so delicious and babies just can't stop having it. And so they actually substitute mothers for hyenas, and that's what the babies will feed on. No, I'm joking. I have had absolutely no idea what milk tastes like because... why would you even drink hyena milk? No, I don't think anyone knows what hyena milk tastes like. It seems like a awfully silly thing to do, to go and milk a hyena to drink it. It's like asking what cat milk tastes like. Many people are not going to milk their cat or anything like that. So I'm not sure is the answer to your question. You're welcome to come and try and milk a hyena and see how it goes. I'm pretty sure a wild hyena... I'm pretty sure hyenas are not going to take kindly to you trying to milk them. But Ribbon's going all over the show. She doesn't seem to have a sort of set direction at this stage. She's, I think, kind of got her nose to the ground, which means that I don't think she's going towards the den just yet. She's probably going to have a little bit of a sort of look around, but definitely nose down. It's where the lions were, not yesterday, the day before with Ali. We had the little pan off Pangolin track, and so she's kind of just got her nose down, smelling where the lions moved around, and I hope maybe that there's more dung or maybe bits of a carcass that she can eat. Good, let's keep following her though. Let's try and see where she goes and what she gets up to. And in the meantime, let's send you, I believe, to somebody who's got spots in the grass. I'm just not sure who.
We did, and we found some tiny little pretty spots. Well, actually, I must say that this time the credit goes entirely to Seb, because he's the one that managed to spot her from the distance. Lucky he's got a bit of a higher place since he sits higher up than what I've been, because if you come from the road, then she is pretty much behind some fallen over trees in the long grass, so it would have been impossible. So, well done, Seb. Thanks to you, we've got spots today, and it's nobody else than the beautiful Tlalamba. Yay! So she is actually very well behaved considering. And she's not too far from where Jamie and Seb, yawning, from where Jamie and Seb left her yesterday. So my guess is, because we haven't seen any tracks actually coming from the road that we came into, Cheetah Cut Line and then Guaripan and then all those areas, I think Tandy hasn't come here overnight. She's not too far from where Tandy left her. She is bound to move eventually a little bit. All right, we're going to quick link you guys across to James because he's got something very exciting.
We're just having the most amazing sighting here of a huge herd of elephants running at a tremendous speed. I don't know if you can hear them screaming at each other. We've probably watched about 20 of them run across the clearings here at high speed, and Rex has spotted a very big bull coming behind them, and it might be that they've been stressed out by a big musk bull elephant. There was a tiny one running with them, but about 20. Here he comes. Dave, can you see him there? They were deeply distressed by something. Now, I wonder if we can tell if this guy is in must or not. Yes, he's got streaming temple glands, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's in must. What I'm doing is just looking with my binoculars to see if I can see between his legs. He's definitely following that herd. No, there's no dripping between the back legs, so I don't think he's in must. He's also not that old. I mean, he's quite big. He's probably about a 30-year-old, I guess. But I'm not sure why he would have created that level of consternation in that herd. But they were running at the most tremendous speed, and of course it's rather hilarious watching elephants running. They look like sort of very irritated and slightly uncoordinated power walkers, because they can't in fact run, they walk fast. How very strange. We're definitely not as there that you can see the herd now. They've calmed down, they're feeding. We're not going to go following them in that bush though. It would be very silly to try and follow them into the bush like that while they're upset. We're nowhere near them, so those of you who are telling us to be careful, thank you very much, but we're a good sort of 100 meters from them, so it's perfectly safe to be viewing them. So the sun has just come out. I'm not sure if you can see that the light has changed slightly. Brian, I don't think there's a predator involved here, no. It's not impossible, but I really don't think so. That bull, something about that bull was putting them off. Rex is just nodding his agreement. But that bull we've seen before. He's got short, small tusks. He's a relatively large fellow, but he's not old. And he's very relaxed around us as well. I don't know why he would have irritated them like that. Doesn't look like he's in must. Maybe he's coming into must, and maybe there's an estrus female in that herd that he's harassing. Anyway, shall we continue, David? Are you happy to continue? Yes, good. Let's carry on. Let's do a little cinematic shot through here. Shall I be cinematic, David? Jason, while I'm being cinematic, you wonder what must means. Jason, must is a condition that male elephants experience, and it is their mating time. Their testosterone levels increase a huge amount, which means that they become, desirous of elephant cows, basically, not to put too fine a point on it. They also become slightly more irascible and slightly more easily irritated. So they're almost like highly strung, very frustrated animals on the edge of temper snapping. And that's because their testosterone levels are so high. And elephants start to experience this from around about, we think, only about 20 to 25 years, although they may experience short semi-musts before that time, and then they experience full-blown must sort of between 25 and 30 years, and often they only mate for the first time, especially in an open system like this, at about 35 years. So it's, there's a lot of pent-up frustration by the time they eventually do mate, and by the time they eventually do go into a full must. And what it does, Jason, is it smells like sweet honeyed leather, basically, the dripping that they make, rotting sweet honeyed leather, and they drip this, it's like a urine, basically, all the time, and sometimes up to 200 litres a day, I believe. No, not 200, 100 litres a day, which is about 20 gallons. It's quite something, 25 gallons. And it's this really sort of smelly stuff. So you can smell if an elephant's in must very quickly. And that's what I was looking for between his back legs there, to see if his inner legs were wet. They are not. We're going to carry on, see if we can find whatever was making the baboons upset. Let's go back to Ali and Tlalamba.
Well, that must have been quite an exciting sighting to witness on foot. I'm sure James, his heart must have been beating really fast to see all of the elephants running while they're there. Our little Tlalamba, she went down for a bit of a snooze after you just left us, and she's pretty much up to the same. She does put her head up every now and again, and then she faces in a westerly direction. So I wonder if Tandi's perhaps not lurking around somewhere around that area, if she can hear something or see something that we cannot, because from where we are, there's definitely something. But she is very well hidden. We were actually commenting on the fact that had she not had her head up when we drove past, then there is no way. Look at that. There's no ways that we would have seen her. I mean, if you look at it from a distance, where's the leopard? Impossible to spot it. We can actually, make a screenshot out of it and then try to look for the leopard. It's impossible. And you see the road is actually not too far away, but with the way that she's lying, there we go. The road is that light patch to your right, in between those dead trees and so on. So we didn't go that far when we saw her. We actually saw her before that tree that is over there. But we always say that we drive past many leopards every day, and I think this is a clear way as to why we say that. Lying down, it's pretty impossible. That camouflage works spectacularly well just to break their general body shape, because that is normally what gives an animal away. It's the movement of an object. But if you can break that object up and you don't see it as a thing that stands out, but part of the general surrounding areas, shadows, light coming through the trees, then it's pretty much impossible to spot it. What are you looking at? You see, she keeps doing this. She keeps putting her head up, moving, and then ears pricked up, looking always in the same direction. So I wonder if perhaps Tundi is not down there. It would be very nice to see a mother-daughter reunion. Annette, I agree with you. She is stunning. She is a very pretty leopard, I must say. Out of all the leopards that I've gotten to see, I think she's probably in the top 5 beauty rank. And also, I think it's also a little bit of her personality, because we see all the stories of her being mischievous and just giving Tundi a general hard time just because she's so playful. And she reminds me of Shangile sometimes. Like, she's also, that typical, almost like phase, like the, I don't know if it's a phase, but that stare. So it's like very nostalgic still sometimes when she gazes into the distance. You got very big ears, girl. You're going to grow into them still. And I remember when Tamba is the previous cub that Tandy is the mother of this leopard, had. And he was also very funny because he always seemed to have much bigger ears than what he could for the rest of his body, and very big paws. So we're all a little bit sad that he carried the course of a normal leopard and pretty much had to disperse from this area. And he's now looking for an area where to establish himself. And he seems to be hanging around a lot. Ooh, look at those teeth. Around Singita, which is another property south from hers. Proud cat mama, Tlalamba very likely has hunted by herself already, but she is still a little bit too young to be bringing down big prey, like impalas or, even kudus eventually. So I would say that at this age, she's potentially still focusing on the small things like scrub hares or mongoose. I've seen quite a few young leopards get, and squirrels and so on. But the fact that she's here and she hasn't moved, she's still waiting for Tandy. So she still depends on Tandy to bring her to food or get her the big meals, the good hearty meals. But by instinct, leopards learn quite a bit. It doesn't take them as long to learn how to hunt as it does perhaps as a lion, because the lions hunt together and there are a little bit more logistics involved. But like I said, I don't think she would be able to bring down bigger prey, although I might be wrong, and then she might have done it, hiding away from the lights of of the vehicles. But she'll definitely have had, I would assume, made a few smaller kills in her time. She's getting to that age where she's going to be curious, and everything that moves is a potential object to play with, and then of course anything to sharpen her instincts. She's such a playful cat. Look at that. What a silly little girl. Playing with the grass. Cool breeze. I don't think maybe a small impala, yes, like an impala lamb. I don't think that she would have trouble bringing that down if she manages to get close to the impala lamb. I think a fully grown impala might still be a bit of a challenge to her, especially an impala ram, big ram. I don't think she has the strength just yet, but no doubt that she's getting there very quickly. I love it when cubs are, they're not adults just yet, but they have these moments of such tenderness where she was just playing with the grass like a little kitty cat and then just having her own little party. It's very endearing. Who's there that you can keep smelling? I wonder if perhaps there's not another creature altogether. Don't know, Emma, with a ball of your... she might just play endlessly for ages. I think she would be a very funny cat to film, and then just give her even paper. I'm sure she would be. She would keep us all entertained. She's always up to something, this little one. Where are you looking? Or a box. Yes, cats in boxes is one of the most hilarious things, and I have no doubt that she would definitely love a box. I think even Hosanna, if we gave him a box, what do you think, Seb? I reckon that he would just go in there and was like, my box. Until Tingana father came around and kicked everyone and declared it his box, because apparently that's the way he rolls lately. He just finds what other people have and takes it from them. But, I mean, he is bigger. He is a more opportunistic one, so it comes with the perks of maintaining a territory, I suppose. Look at your pretty sharp teeth. Are you being attacked by the flies there? Because we are. So if you want to move somewhere else, we'll be very happy. Very pretty. Well, it's still a very quiet morning, or the morning is just starting. So no doubt as it gets a little bit hotter, perhaps she'll go back to Guaripan, but I think we're still a little bit far away from that. I wouldn't be surprised that she goes down for a nap in the next little while. And while if Tandi comes around, I'm sure she would be very happy, because it could potentially mean that she's taking her back to a kill, because unfortunately, Tandi, although she was successful in hunting last night, Tingana was a little bit more successful in taking the kill from her. And because it was a small thing, then unfortunately, that's it. It's finished. We're going to sit with Lamba for a little bit longer, see if she decides to stick around here, perhaps move or entertain us. But while we do that, let's go over to Tristan and find out if he's had any luck with Ribbon.
Well, we're kind of failing at the last hurdle here, I'm afraid. Ribbon's just lost us. We managed to get through a whole lot of nonsense with her, and she's just literally ditched us in the last second. So we're just trying to kind of figure out where she's gone. She's in an area where we've seen the clan spend time before. Not when they were denning, but when they were just... One time we had them all kind of resting here for a few days, which was a weird thing, and we scratched around, no dens, and so I'm not sure if she's coming back to that area. I lost her going into the drainage, and I couldn't see if she went up the other side or if she decided to move along this drainage system out of our sort of view. But we're going to try and just cross here and have a little look if I can pick her up on the other side. But this is the problem, is that hyenas are not easy to follow. She's been very kind to us in that she's gone slowly for the most part. She hasn't run, but they are just very difficult to keep up with. You can see what she went into on my right-hand side. That's what she goes into, and there's no way for a car to negotiate that, unfortunately, as much as we want to and what we think we can. Careful there, guys. So just got to make sure Trishard also doesn't get impaled by a sickle bush to the head. No one likes a sickle bush to the head. not very pleasant. I have no idea where to even go now because I'm not sure which way she went. So somewhere here is where she kind of ended up going. I try and see if I can pick up a track and then go from there. She might be heading towards that little Mamba loop road. So we'll just kind of, if we don't find anything here, we'll head in that direction. But in this drainage line is so steep, she could also have just stopped in the drainage. Very seldom do you see hyenas using drainages as a den site, but you never know, stranger things have happened. So where did we lose her? Here's where we lost her. I'm just trying to see if I can find any potential sort of track for her or for any sort of sign of her moving through here. This is why hyena dens are so difficult to find. Patsy, you say you remember this area, you feel like all the animals use it to lose the guides. Well, it's an area that's Tumba used to spend a lot of time in, funnily enough. It's also where we had Tingana and Kuchava mating. Was also here. So it is an area, I suppose, that is used quite regularly by a lot of the animals, and they do lose us quite quickly. It looks like she walked to the side, though. I think I've got her track here. But she's going to be quite far ahead of me now because I've wasted quite a bit of time trying to kind of get through all of this. So it's going to be a bit tricky, but let's see how we go. I don't know. It's going to be tough, but let's try. I think I know where she's heading, roughly. So I just want to try and kind of cut that off. If we don't find anything here, I might try and go back to that drainage line and just drive up it a little bit. And try and see if maybe she's gone up the drainage and we just missed her. Daniel, do all animals have great eyesight? No. There's things like moles that do not have good eyesight at all. So not all animals have great eyesight, but a lot of anything that's a predatory animal generally has good eyesight, so that they can see their targets that they're trying to go after. But yes, you will find that some animals are actually very poorly sighted in many respects. Right. I'm just trying to get through all of this. It's not the easiest place to negotiate. So luckily we've done a lot of this with Tumba particularly, and so it makes it a little bit easier to know where to go. But I think we might have lost Ribbon. I'm afraid she, has given us the slip. There certainly is no tracks that I can see coming out here. But she's heading in the general direction that we think the den sites could be. So she's heading southeast mostly. But I don't see where she's come out. Problem is, if she crosses straight over the road, it's going to be very, very, very tricky. What's this track on the road here? There's a track that's coming down the road on the left side, which probably looks civetish, if I'm honest with you. It is indeed a civet. Always good just to check, you never know. Ribbon, why did you lose us there? If she'd just gone through the crossing point, it would have been so easy, but she went into that drainage and I couldn't see where she went from there. We just lost her completely, and I don't know if she went back towards the Mawati or if she came straight across or she walked up. But she definitely hasn't come out onto Mamba yet, so not ideal. All that for nothing so far. All right, let's try and head back towards the Mawati. Maybe she turned back into the drainage line itself. She could also be here investigating, given that baboons were shouting here. She could be doing what we're doing, essentially is what we often do, is follow alarm calls. And we know Ali came round this way, so maybe she's just coming to see if she can find anything. Could also be that. But she seemed to be walking with a fair amount of kind of purpose as to what she was doing. So I'm thinking that it wasn't only the baboon calls that were driving her. But alas, I don't know where she's gone, I'm afraid. Now, apparently, because I'm talking about baboon calls, I can now send you to James. I don't know if that means he's got baboons, or he's acting like a baboon, or he's going to call like a baboon. But either way, I'm sure it will be entertaining.
I don't know how to act like a baboon. I'm much too sophisticated. Right, we've come down onto the Marty River to see if we can't pick up on what those baboons were shouting at. In the meantime, let us have a look at a whiteberry bush. Flugia verosa. Very good. Now, David, these are not ripe. You see that? Mm-hmm. So I suspect that they will be disgusting. Yes, they were disgusting. Let's continue along through here. We'll try and find you an interesting flower or tree on the way. Something that we haven't showed you in the recent... I don't know what's going on. Apparently we're going back to Ali now.
So we cannot really move right now. She's come back to the pan and she's just gone behind the car and she's busy sniffing something. And she almost got the crazies. She was jumping around, going a little bit crazy, and then now she's come back to where she was last night. So I think there's definitely something going on that she can hear and we cannot. I'm going to move a little bit so that the antenna's not in Seb's way. So I'm just going to go park here and then it won't be in the way anymore. And that way we'll have a bit of a better look and we won't be in her way if she's actually waiting for Thandi to come back. It always surprises me how they can hear and know of things that we definitely do not. Now, the reason, like I said, why I do not want to park in front of her, it's because there might be something coming from that area. So the last thing we want to do is get in the way and block her view, either from, Thandi or any potential predators or another leopard or anything else. But you're looking good. Your belly is still full, so Thandi's been doing a good job of keeping you nice and happy. Such a pretty lip. She's got a very fluffy tail, I must say. Almost reminds me a bit of Anchila's tail. Very white, very big. Are you going to just play around in the water, girl? So head down. She's sniffing something, either another leopard or perhaps she's sniffing something that we have brought with the tires of the car, another plant or something else. But judging by her attitude, I would reckon she can smell another leopard, another someone that has been around here. You see that tail going? So she's thinking about it. The tail flicking a little bit of that is an indication that she is working something out. We don't know what quite yet or who, but there's something there that's intriguing her. Whoop, there's a tail going. I am surprised that I've never noticed how fluffy this tail is. Okay, you are going behind the vehicle again. Very pretty. She does look like Thandi every now and again. Where are you going? All right. Seems like she's going to the gully system where Jamie and Seb had her yesterday. So let's just go around here. Hopefully she won't make it too difficult for us, because there are some spots that are very... Oh, running. She's gonna come in front of us. Have you got the crazies? Are you bored now? I think maybe she's also having a bit of a morning routine. I'm sorry that we caught you there. Well done, Seb, on giving her a little bit of privacy. No, she is looking at something. She's actually stalking something. I don't think she is having a morning routine at all. Maybe you are. It's hard to tell. There are a bunch of leaves in the way. Very entertaining little girl. I wonder. There's definitely something around here that's been keeping her guessing. We're gonna wait a little while longer. Obviously, we're not going to leave her. We want to try and figure out what it is that's got her attention and why she's moving up and down. But while we do that, let's send you guys back across to James and find out if his heartbeat has finally relaxed a little bit after that encounter.
Yes, here we are resting on our Sunday morning on the dirt, having a little snooze in front of a flower called Hibiscus calophyllus, otherwise known as the wild stock rose, if you prefer the English. The reason that it's not great to use the English names for these things is that they all are called the wild stock rose, so very similar species have exactly the same English name, and yet they are appreciably different, and so we use the Latin names. Hibiscus calophyllus. Now, on Hibiscus calophyllus, we have got some drop-tailed ants, and I suspect that they are looking for something sweet. I've seen them tending aphids quite often, so they will milk aphids for their honeydew, and I wonder if they're not doing the same sort of thing, or if they're managing to get some sweet nectar from the plant itself. Let me just touch it, one of the other ones, see if it's sticky at all. I can't feel any stickiness. Maybe there are aphids on this plant. Look how beautiful the light is on it. Isn't that lovely, David? Yes. This is the kind of little scene that can really keep one mesmerized for a long time if you're in the right mood for it. And you enjoy the amazing movement of the ants and how coordinated they are, and the colors of the flower. And I just find watching a little creature like these drop-tailed ants going about their business tremendously peaceful and just fascinating, mesmerizing, really. I don't see any aphids there. Aphids can, of course, be microscopic. Yeah, Snazzy, they look huge, but they're really not. They're about the size, the length of my baby fingernail.
Stick your hand in there.
Yes, there's my hand. See how big it is, David? I'm an enormous person. I met someone the other day. In fact, I met a few people the other day who were here on our viewer expedition. And quite a few said to me, "Oh, hello, nice to meet you. You are smaller than we thought you were." Which, of course, I'm just warning any of you who do meet me in later time, it's really not something you want to hear. The cameraman is now swearing quietly under his breath. What's happened, David? Did a biting fly bite you? Yes, thank you very much. All of you saying that I now look as big as an ant. Fantastic. Yes. Now, there are a number of different hibiscus species that we find over here, or wild stock roses. And I think this is one of the most common, calophyllus. Cannabinus is another one with leaves that look like marijuana leaves, so I'm told, by David. I must say, I could sit and watch these things for hours. I wish I knew slightly more about their biology, and they are a common species. They are a very common species, and so I should probably try and research a bit more. I'm going to now break off this old flower. I don't feel bad doing that, because I want to examine, because there were ants on this as well. Maybe it would be a good idea to stick this under the microscope. There are some little white things on it, but I don't think they're aphids. I'm going to have to do some more research. It might just be nectar that they're after. Alrighty, unlike these ants and unlike me, Shalamba is jumping around apparently.
Well, she is very playful and she's got the crazies now. So she was actually playing in some rhino dung and then all of a sudden she jumped and then she ran away. So we're just going to try to get her back again because she's actually being quite a hilarious little cat. She's keeping us entertained. It's almost like she's fighting between the need to be a proper grown-up leopard and a big girl and her inner character that doesn't allow her to be that just yet because she wants to jump around and do all sorts of different things. So she's been attacking trees and then she stands still for a little while and then she jumps and then she runs. Just as soon as we think that, okay, no, she said, yep, that's exactly what she's been doing. Where are you going? Come back. All right, I'm going to try to go back. She's gone back to the pen. A little insight into the life of Tlalamba, what happens when she's not with Thandi. She can obviously have a very good time all by herself. All right, she's back in the pen. Are you going to come down for a drink? Ooh, alrighty. Let me try Seb to get you on there. Jeremiah, yes, she is like a little chicken sometimes. There we go. Now she's drinking. Oh, sorry, Seb. Is that good? Do you need me to go forward? Okay. Tiny little tongue. And I'm surprised at, well, as I said before, I unfortunately haven't spent a lot of time with Tlalamba, but I'm surprised at how big her rosettes, her spots, are. They actually look much, much bigger than what they should for a leopard. And almost has a bit of a jaguar look to her, which I think just adds a bit of character to her. I'm sure you are thirsty after all this crazy jumping around that you've been doing. Very entertaining. So as long as she sticks around this area, there are lots of places where she can hide. There are a few trees that she can climb if there's anything that comes around while Thandi is away. And then, of course, luckily it's summer, so there are water sources all around. One of them being this pan that she's currently drinking from. Pretty, pretty. That's a very nice shot, Seb, of her drinking. Look at those pretty light eyes that she still has. Ah, stunning. Just what a beautiful view. Nice that she came out here. I thought for one second I was convinced that she was about to fall asleep, but I think she's had this attitude like all little creatures in the planet just about to fall asleep. They're like, no, actually I'd rather just go and play. And then she's just been going absolutely bonkers for the last little while. And I'm actually surprised. I was mentioning to Seb, every time that she looks up, she reminds me a lot of Shongile, which is funny. I know there was a study done on civets a long time ago that suggested that actually even the spot pattern of the civet is inherited or by it develops at a fetal stage, and it's very similar to the one of the parents. So I wonder if perhaps this has also, well, it'll be interesting if somebody does a study like this on leopards. It would be quite something if we could show that even the spots of leopards are similar to one another, especially the leopards that are related. Because, I mean, we are lucky to have seen quite a long lineage here from Karula to Thandi, Husana, well, Kuchava and everybody else. And then I think we can all agree that they've got this very characteristic stare, this look to them that perhaps other leopards do not, especially having seen other leopards like perhaps Shidulu or Hukumuri or Tiyani. I don't know if we've seen her on this side, but they all look a little bit different and they all inherit different traits from what we believe are their parents. Are you gonna eat grass? Did a piece of grass get stuck in your mouth? Judy, I believe her spot pattern is 5 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. So 5, if we can maybe zoom in, we'll be able to look. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or maybe it's 3 and 3? Yeah. 1, 2, and 3. So we're counting the big spot just above the whiskers. I wonder who's got 5 and 5 then, that I thought that she was 5 and 5. So she's got definitely 3 on the right-hand side and then 3 on the other one. So it would seem like she's a 3 and 3. I would be counting the big spot. Pretty. Where are you gonna go? The flies, there are lots of flies around here. I'm not too sure why. We actually even for a second thought that perhaps there was something dead somewhere because it was quite annoying in the beginning, and they are obviously also attacking her, and that's what she keeps opening her mouth and then just biting the air. I'm sure the flies are also annoying her. Perhaps they're also very close to the water, trying to get some of the moisture there from the grass, and that's why she's being a little bit annoyed. Exactly. I share the sentiments, Tlalamba, but we will do it for you. Jamie, the viewer, you're saying that it's 5 and 5. I wonder if there's a spot there that we're missing. Let's see. You hold still. You hold your pattern there. 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure if you want to count the big one at the back, then I reckon we could have 5 spots in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that sneaky one at the top, I agree with that one. Where are you gonna go? It's sometimes a little bit difficult with the spot pattern. I normally do not remember the spot patterns or the animals, but it is, however, the best way to actually identify them, because every leopard has a unique pattern. They're all their spot, they don't have the same combinations, and if it does happen, is more a coincidence than anything else, but it's almost like their own unique mark. And then if you look at their coat pattern, their entire pattern on their body, that is definitely unique, and all the leopards are different. So that's how you can identify them, especially when you're doing research. But in particular, in the last few years, a lot of research into leopards and elusive animals, although this might not look like a very elusive or nervous leopard, is done with camera traps, just because they are able to detect movement, and then it's these cameras that go by infrared, and then they take a photo of the animal walking by, and then you can capture it. So the way that you look is with these cameras, because they don't have the best quality, or they've got to have the ability to take a lot of photos, because the idea is that you have to leave them out in the field for quite a while. The photos are normally in the format of JPEG, and they don't have the best quality. So what you look at is actually not the face pattern, but you tend to start looking for the side pattern. So things that you can see on their, especially on their tummies on the side, because it's where the bigger rosettes will be, and it's what gives it away straight away. So I actually did my master thesis on leopards in Ruaha in Tanzania, or about the leopards of Ruaha in Tanzania. Ruaha National Park in Tanzania. I cannot even speak. And looking at the face was almost impossible, because a lot of the times you would capture these photos during the night, so there's a lot of blur and you don't see the face. But if they give you that little bit of side profile, then you're able to tell something from there. I wonder if she's not going to go into the water, or maybe put her foot in. I think she's brave enough to try that, and bored enough to do it. You are a very pretty girl, and I mean, if you could get up and then show us your side pattern. Funny enough, she reminded me of one of the leopards that I was studying. He's actually become a bit of a celebrity, because he's known familiarly as Tlalamba, has her name Tlalamba. This other leopard has been called Onsa, and Onsa is the species for the Panthera onsa, the jaguar that is endemic to South America. So it doesn't occur in Africa, but I mean, it's pretty much looks like a leopard. It's just a little bit bigger and more aquatic. But this particular, it was a young boy when I was studying him, and he's got massive rosettes, like much bigger than the ones in Tlalamba got, very dark, and you almost see it. And the first time I saw him on the camera photos, on the trap camera photos, I was like, there's no way. It's like somebody got confused and they gave me data of another part of the world. What a disaster. You know, I was being over dramatic as usual. And all of a sudden we realized that no, I started doing a little bit more research, and because he's actually one of the most relaxed animals, it gets seen quite often, and it's the thing, how big his rosettes are in the national park. And like, oh look, there he is, you can spot him. And then last year I was working in Botswana, and I met with a guy that goes to Ruaha every time, and then we started talking, and then he was like, oh, I know who he is, he's super famous, I've seen him, he's got the biggest spots I've ever seen. So it is funny how certain things, or just a very particular trait, then you know straight away who it is. I think for now, though, I would like to make sure that Tlalamba gets remembered for her character. I think that's what captivated everyone. I mean, when she was tiny and then she still didn't have a name, everybody was calling her Rebel, because that's pretty much what she was, giving Thandi a hard time. And it's nice to see that she hasn't lost that little cub attitude yet. Well, she just get the crazies and then run and then come back and then, you know, dig a little bit into the rhino dung and then come back in. But slowly but surely she's growing into a full leopard of her own. So it'll be interesting to see where she's gonna end up establishing herself, because what happens with female leopards, unlike male leopards, is that they tend to inherit or stay within somewhat of the area where their mothers are. So Tandi's been pushing in since Karula disappeared. She has been pushing in a lot more into Djuma. Kuchawa seems like she's been a little bit further south into Chitwa, and she's been around there. So I think maybe Tlalamba is going to establish herself around this area, this Buffelshoek Dam area, Torchwood. It seems like there's a bit of a gap here, and Tlalamba seems to know this area well, so I wouldn't be surprised if she eventually just decides to stay around here, and then Tandi will shift a little bit and then head a little bit more towards the central parts of Djuma. Now, it is quite normal for female leopards to stick around the area where they were born, although some of them are also known to migrate quite far away from where they are. But unfortunately, for male leopards like Tamba, and Hosanna is a bit of a special case in many ways. Tamba, which is a previous litter of Tandi, then now has migrated south, looking for a bit of a gap or an area where he can then establish himself as the territorial male. Seems like Tlalamba has calmed down a little bit, so we're gonna wait. Maybe she'll get the crazies again, and we'll definitely stick around to watch that one more time. But seems like Tristan's managed to catch up with the hyena, so let's go and find out how's that going.
Well, we've just caught up with another hyena that is not Ribbon, but is heading in the same direction of where we last saw Ribbon. So we'll try this again and see. I wonder if I don't know. I mean, this hyena has come out of Little Gowrie, so I mean, the chances are that the den is that side, but she's also sort of sniffing about where the elephant carcass was, so tricky to know really where they're going or whether or not she's heading towards Ribbon sort of area. Looks like it. She's just walking to my right at the moment, so just going to try and reposition. What you're going to see now is I'm going to drive over a section shortly. There you go, this section here. Now that section is where the elephant died, and so you can see how the grass has not grown there yet. It's still kind of oversupply of nutrients, really, leads to very little vegetation kind of growing for a few months. It's also the amount of wear that's taken place there with all the different animals that have walked and done their things there, and eaten and all the other kinds of stuff. It means that a lot of the seed bank is destroyed, and so you actually don't get too much growth. Right, now this hyena is going towards Twin Dams. I wonder if they're not all just because of the sort of shouting of the baboons this morning. Maybe that's why they were all heading in this direction and we're just completely kind of wrong. But we'll try to follow it again and see what happens. The other thing is that I'm a bit torn at the moment because it sounds like there might be wild dogs on our horizon. They inside Buffelshoek at the moment, but look like they might come south towards sort of Sydney's Dam, which means we would have to get there rather quick if we would want to see them, because they are going to not last long. If they go towards Sydney's, it's very easy for them just to slip into Simambili quite quickly. So we'll just keep an ear out for that as well. Now, where did this hyena go? It is a dilemma. There she is. Also, which hyena it is, I'm not quite sure. We're going to have to try and just have a little kind of look. But got a fairly nice rotund belly on it, and does it also have teats that are been suckled? It's not pretty or corky, that's for sure. Maybe June? I don't know. It's tricky to kind of see. I honestly don't know some of the sort of lower ranking individuals, and it's tricky when they walk this fast because it's hard to be able to actually see the spot pattern. The spot pattern on this particular hyena is very dull at the moment, and so it's not that easy. But clean ears, which June does have, but I mean, there's so many hyenas that hang around. It's tricky, like I say, to know all of them. I'm afraid we don't see them enough to really recognize them properly. Well, I certainly don't. As we know, this is out of character for me to be following hyenas around all morning. This is Jamie's territory that we've entered in, but because Jamie's been so busy with lots of other stuff, she hasn't been on drive all that much, and so, you know, we're just trying to kind of help her out and find where the den is, but she's gone for a drink by the looks of things. So let's quickly just head there and see if we can get a view. No, she's coming up and towards us, so let's carry on. Sure, no, I mean, wouldn't take out a lone hyena. They certainly would bully it quite heavily. In fact, listening to the radio, a hyena got a massive bully session from the dogs just now. So they definitely do bully hyenas. In terms of whether or not they actually would sort of kill one, not very often, but they do bite them and give hyenas a really hard time, which makes life pretty tricky for them. So it's quite funny to watch wild dogs and hyenas. The hyenas kind of tend to run with their tail dragging on the floor because they're so busy kind of trying to stop the dogs from biting on their bum and towards their genital areas. This hyena's going to drop into the Mulwati. All right. Okay, let's try and get across quickly. I had tracks here. This is where the tracks were for what I thought was Hosanna. And we had Franklin's alarm calling yesterday, the baboon's alarm calling this morning. There's a squirrel alarm calling now. I wonder if maybe, just maybe, Hosanna doesn't have some sort of a kill somewhere close by, or a leopard has a kill somewhere here. And that's why there's so much sort of shouting going on. The hyenas also seem to have their nose to the ground in this area, sort of sniffing about, which could indicate that maybe, just maybe, there is something around. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Sometimes good to follow hyenas. They lead you to things. I feel like all I've been doing this morning is doing circles round and round and round, trying to right, there we go. We're into the Mulwati. We're going to try and kind of see where this hyena goes. In the meantime, though, back to Ali with a much calmer Kalamba.
It does seem like Tristan's been having a very good morning. Even if he's been driving in circles, I reckon he's been quite successful. So brownie points for him. Tlalamba has not gotten the crazies yet. We are waiting for it. I feel like she's got her head up. She's looking in the distance. So we're at a good spot. Hopefully she'll get the crazies again, because she's quite an entertaining leopard to watch, I must say. She's definitely been up to something all the time. She lied down to have a bit of a snooze for a bit, and then she was like, no, I'm good. I just want to carry on playing now. So it's been wonderful to actually spend some time with her and get to know her a little bit better. I am hoping that she's going to do something with the water, like jump in the water, put her paw in the water, and then jump all the way out and run. I reckon that would be just hilarious. Typical cat with the water that they're not too excited about it. It's almost like she's thinking about it. It's either that or falling asleep next to the nice cool mud.
She was sleeping with her paw in the water yesterday.
Seb says that she was sleeping with her paw in the water yesterday. I would love to see that. I would love to see a leopard with her paw in the water, like, whoo. Indigo girl, yes, the ticks look quite massive, and it's unfortunately, the ear is a bit of a tricky area. Even if you look at domestic cats and dogs, they tend to get them just even rhinos, I must say, underneath the ears and underneath their chin. It's where it's a little bit harder for the animals to actually get them out. So I think maybe she was scratching a little bit earlier with her back paws just to try and get them out, because we can all agree that those ticks have had a hearty meal feeding off the blood in Tlalamba's ears. But it is normal. There are lots of ticks all around here, and as much as they present a discomfort, they're not particularly affecting her condition. It's just part of the thing of being a wild animal, I suppose. And even when we go out walking, we pick up ticks just by walking through the bushes, because a lot of ticks will actually have different life cycles, and some of them can actually survive for a while, not on a host, but they can survive on the plants while they wait for somebody else to walk across and then latch onto them and then carry on. I think these two that we were looking at, they've obviously hit the jackpot, and there are lots of vessels in the ears, lots of little capillaries that are often used for cooling down. Just like in the elephants, there are a lot of veins that flow through the ears to cool the animal down. It's also a mechanism for other animals like the leopards and the lions that do not sweat to cool themselves down. Even if I think it becomes very obvious in particular when we look at the kudu's ears, because they've got much bigger ears and they have that reddish tinge to them. It's not because they're particularly colored or they have another pigmentation, but it's because of red blood that flows through the ears and it cools down, and then as it carries on flowing through the rest of the animal, then it helps with the cooling down process. So I think it's the same here. It's almost like she's got a little 2 piercings there at the back. The rebel girl with her 2 piercings, trying to be cool. Although I'm pretty sure that if she could, she would want them out. They don't seem to be too annoying, because I reckon she would have scratched her ear. Oh, there's a third one and a fly on her ear as well. Shame, Tlalamba, you're being attacked by all the insects today. That's normally what happens when you're so close to the water. Now this particular ticks, once they start sucking again. Oh, there's a fly still on her ear. Naughty fly. Why are you still there? Probably either lying down or looking for some moisture, some dew that might have been on Tlalamba's coat from where she was lying down a little bit earlier on. Oh. Are you done? Are you going back to sleepy? She looks very sweet. All leopards do. When they fight the urge to sleep and their heads are still up, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope. No, you're not asleep. Sorry. I'm sorry I even mentioned it. Rado, you're wondering why Tlalamba doesn't have a pink nose like Hosanna. Well, when leopards are young, they all tend to have a pinkish nose, but it starts changing coloration as they get older. So are their eyes. So the majority of the leopards, when they're tiny, and then you see them in even Tlalamba had it. I think it's quite obvious now with Shidulu's cubs. When they're tiny, their eyes are of a very light blue, and as they get older, then they tend to become a lot darker in color. Even Tlalamba's eyes are a little bit darker as to what they were when she was first seen, or in the first initial phase of her life. And then some of them will turn and they'll become completely brown eyes, and then some of them become almost of a darker shade of some of them light blue green, I should say. I always find that there's a bit of a tinge to it. And then the noses in the majority of the leopards, like I said, as they grow older, then they start becoming a little bit darker. But Hosanna's got lucky with his pink nose, and he still hasn't lost it. It might take him a little while, especially the more territorial he becomes, and that nose, it's almost like there's a bit of a correlation. I don't know if I'm making this up, but I find in my experience that it's become that. As they start getting ready to be on their own, then that nose starts becoming that way. Potentially nothing to do with it, other than just age, really. Age, and then just the genetics of each individual. I don't think she's going to be asleep there, because the sun is coming right behind from her, and she's going to get hot. BLWB, the age. There are a few factors that might indicate the age of a leopard. Well, one of them is clearly size. So when they are small-aged leopards, they will always be with their mothers, both males and females. And you can start gauging their age. Well, if you can have a look at their teeth, and that is a good way. You can see particularly the canines, how worn down they are, and that will give you an indication as well if it's an older individual or perhaps a more mature individual. Then with the males in particular, you can also start seeing that when they become older and territorial, they develop a dewlap. So if you look at Hosanna, he's got a bit of a dewlap going on, but not fully if you compare it to another male leopard like Hukumuri or Tingana. It's almost like this extra flap of skin, or this very loose flap of skin around their neck that adds into their size. So if he's got a very big one, then you can tell it's an older individual as well. So there's I'm sorry. You can always look for certain cues that will give you it won't necessarily give you an exact date, and you'll be like, okay, this individual is 3, 4, 5, but it'll give you ranges, and then you can classify the animals according to those ranges. So, for example, in this case, we have seen Tlalamba's size. We know that she's still with Thandi, so even if we didn't know when she was born or exactly how old she is, we could still estimate. I would say, okay, judging by her age, I would say she's between 1 and 2 years old. 2 years perhaps too much. And then if you look at, we know that Hosanna is 3, so we've been actually very lucky with these leopards over here, because we follow them every day and we can pinpoint at least the month where they've been born. But if not, in other areas, what you try to do is just to be like, okay, it ranges roughly from this age to this age, and that is pretty much as good as an estimation as we're going to get, particularly with some of the animals that have come from another area, and then it's sometimes a little bit hard to just say exactly how old it is, but you look at different things that will give you an idea. Seems like the little princess has gone for a sleep, so we're gonna stay here. Hopefully she'll wake up, and if she does, then we'll let everybody know. But let's head back to James and find out where his stroll has taken him this morning.
Hello everybody, we're trying desperately to identify a very beautiful grass with the aid of Holly's book. Holly is behind me. Well, he's actually behind you. But his book is not, in fact, giving us much help. I don't know what it is, but it's very beautiful, and it always grows down here on the drainage lines, and it's probably a species of a synchros, perhaps. Maybe a synchros species, and I suspect it's not of particularly high grazing value, being down here. Yes. Alright, so we'll go with this. No. Synchros, or maybe a Schmittia. I think that's actually what it is. I think it's a Schmittia. Maybe Paperophoides. I'm sure that's very exciting to most of you. I'm sure all of you are sitting there going, my goodness gracious me, we've just seen Schmittia Paperophoides. Is that what you're all thinking right now? Yeah? Schmittia Paperophoides, you thought to yourselves, when I woke up today, I did not think that I would be seeing Schmittia Paperophoides, but here we are with Schmittia Paperophoides, and can you believe it? And now we can all die happy. Isn't it amazing? So Schmittia Paperophoides, I can tell you a little bit about it, in fact, because of it's in this book here. It is interestingly has got an ecological status that is either decreaser or increaser 2A. Now, that probably is meaningless to most people, but what it means is that as a decreaser, it's normally a very good grazing grass, but will decrease under grazing pressure. An increaser 2A is normally a very poor grazing grass and will increase under grazing pressure. And it's quite possibly has both statuses depending on what the soil type is like. So down here, where the soil is not particularly nutritious, I suspect it's much more of a pioneer. It probably makes these stalks, which are much more lignified than they would be in other areas. But perhaps down on the riverbed here, they are a little bit more palatable. Certainly if you look down here, you've got quite a lot of leaf growth. And that, of course, is what an animal or a grazer is going to try and eat, the leaf rather than the stalk. I'm actually quite impressed with myself because I looked at this grass and I thought maybe that's a Schmittia species. And then I thought, no, it can't be. And we looked through the whole book and it turns out I think it is. Wonderful. Una, we do get blackjacks here, yes. Bidens species, we absolutely get them. And they'd be found around about this area, but probably more in a disturbed site. So where the vegetation has been cleared or overgrazed, that's where we'd find blackjacks. David, why were you shaking your head there? It's because I moved the leaf away too fast. Was it my fault? It's your mistake. Okay, good. As long as we remember that for later. Okay, let's continue. We haven't found any tracks of Hosanna. We did find tracks of the lions, but they were from yesterday, going down through there. And we drove this whole area yesterday, and we didn't see any sign of those lions. So I don't know where they've gone. They might still be on the property, which would be quite nice. They do move quite big distances at night sometimes, and actually seldom, if they're moving at night, and if they don't kill something, do we find them still on this reserve. Schmittia Paperophoides. Say that a couple of times. This is a more common example of it. There we are. Now, I think that was the same grass, but I think that it was just growing in a much more moist area on the riverbank. And that's why it was a bit bigger. That's what I would normally associate as a Schmittia Paperophoides. Again, all of this must be absolutely fascinating to those of you who love grasses. And those that aren't are probably now fast asleep. It does, doesn't it? Yes, it sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Linda. Yes, Schmidia papyrophoides. I'm now going to Schmidia papyrophoides you all over to Tlalamba.
The world's gone wild. It's Tlalamba upside down. Shame, she's still very much asleep, but she keeps putting her head up every now and again. So we've come a little bit around from where we were earlier, parked a little bit differently just to be able to have a more straight-on view of her. Hello, pretty girl. Are you over today? Are you going now through the grumpy stages of sleepiness? It is funny. I've got a bunch of nephews at the moment and nieces, and they put the exact same face as Tlalamba once they're tired and they've gone past the crazies around bedtime, and then it's almost like they get grumpy because they're so tired, and you're like, no, but go to sleep, and they're like, no, I don't want to, I'm not tired, but you can tell that they're exhausted. I think maybe that's the motions that are going through Tlalamba's head now, maybe fighting with herself. I'm not sleepy, I don't want to sleep. Emma NFC says that she goes through those motions, so Emma, I'm sure you feel Tlalamba's pain this morning. I think she does. She has calmed down yet, so she's going to patiently wait. I'm sure Tandi is somewhere still looking for food, trying to make a kill, because yesterday hers was stolen by Tingana. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's actually moved off from that area, left Tingana to have that kill, and then just trying her luck somewhere else where potentially Tingana will not take it, so that she can then come back, fetch Tlalamba, and take her to the kill. So I'm sure Tristan mentioned to everyone it wasn't a big kill. I think it was a small diker, if I'm not mistaken. So something that Tingana would have gotten something. Hungry. Yes, sorry, Emma, I didn't catch the name, but yes, she could be hungry. Although looking at her stomach, she doesn't look particularly hungry. I think she's gone hungrier some other stages, as all leopards have, and her stomach there's still a little bit of a bulge there, so not as big as it should be, but I mean, if you look at it, yep, very pretty. You're looking like a cute cat. There we go. Thanks for showing us the belly. So I'm sure she's been eating something in the last few days, so I don't think she's way too hungry yet. No doubt that she will still enjoy a meal, but I think there's no need to panic, and maybe she's desperate and going vegetarian. What are you doing? No, so the majority of the cats, they get the nutrition or the fiber that they need, not only from eating grass or greenery that they find around, just almost as a way of purging themselves and cleaning their organism, but a lot of times they'll eat a little bit of the stomach contents of their prey species, because their prey species being antelope, they tend to eat either grass or leaves, and then if they need the fiber, then they'll eat a little bit of the stomach contents just to get the bacteria that they need in their gut. I think Tlalamba in this case is more playing with the grass, because I'm sure it's a little bit rubbery, so it must be something different, not as dry, not as a little bit tastier. Perhaps there's a little bit of juice still left in there, and that's why she's playing with them. She hasn't actually tried to chew it. She's just been playing with everything that she's found this morning. You are definitely going through the motions of not wanting to be asleep. It is funny how little things and little mammals, yes, I think mammals is a good word for all of them, go through the same motions. Like I said, I've got a few nephews that I think make that exact same face that she's that she's got now, right when they're about to fall asleep. Does Casey make that face, Seb? Yeah, I think Seb also agrees that Casey, his daughter, also makes that face. It'll be quite funny. Maybe we need to start doing like side screenshots of kids falling asleep and then them. It would be quite funny. Crescent moon, I'm not too sure if there's an equivalent to catnip in the wild, or as far as I know, there isn't. But, that's such a lovely view. What a nice stretch. Are you going to now proceed to eat all of that after we said that cats don't do it? Of course you are. All right. As far as I know, no, there isn't something like that in the wild, and I am not too sure. There's something about the smell of catnip that makes some wild species or some wild cat species go absolutely crazy. Ironically, I was talking to some guides that do photography in Costa Rica. They're actually based in Costa Rica, and they do a lot of jaguar photography down there. And they have been speaking to some of the researchers in that area, because there are jaguars all across Central America. And they say that better than catnip for the camera traps, as we were talking about earlier. Now, I cannot remember the exact name, but it's a perfume, and I think it's called Obsession by Calvin Klein, I want to say. And apparently that works wonders. They don't know what it is that's exactly in it, but when they spray that in front of the camera traps to try and incite certain animals or certain like species of jaguars and smaller scards to come around, apparently that is the scent to be used. Better than catnip, better than anything else, because it attracts them, they come around. And I think they use a lot of different substances to bind the perfume and everything that's inside. So maybe they respond to one particular scent or animal scent, because as I'm sure everybody knows, there's a lot of animal products that get used as binding agents within perfumes. So maybe it's something in there that's exactly what they reacted. But they were hilarious. They said that at one point, I think they were stuck of not producing this perfume anymore, and then researchers got like really stressed in Costa Rica and then started almost like sending emails to Calvin Klein and being like, please don't stop producing this, make it just for us. Oh, yawning. So I thought that was quite a hilarious story of how jaguars apparently have a sense of perfume. I don't think we could try it with Lalamba. I definitely wouldn't try it. Are you now going to eat this? Of course you are. Just after I say that you guys normally don't. Thank you. Naughty cat. She's like, yeah, you keep saying that I'm about to fall asleep. I'll eat the grass and show you. Where are you going to go? What's in there that you're interested in? Stretching? Are you going to play with the stick? Please play with the stick. That's going to be hilarious. There we go. Everything is a game now when they're at this age, and playing is such an important part of developing their skills, not only from climbing trees, but just knowing how to be agile, how to turn things, how to bite, how to how to jump. And of course, there's always the added benefit that they look a little bit silly when you look at them, and it's very, very, very cute. What are you? Are you a dog, Tlalamba? Are you gonna put it in the water?
She's fishing.
She's fishing, maybe. Maybe she is fishing. No doubt, as Emma says, that's her stick. She's half-heartedly playing with it. I don't think she quite knows what to do with the stick, but it's the most interesting thing she's found here in the last little while. And because the stick is not straight, but you can see there's a little bit of a curve there, that's maybe what she's enjoying about it. Oh, water. Yes, go in the water. Ooh, pose in the mud. Very brave. Ugh. Are you having the crazies again? This is hilarious that she's playing with the mud. Oh my goodness. V, I agree. This is too cute for a Sunday. The tail is in the water. You are a very funny and unique cat when it comes to water. Oh no, she got the stick. She's gone for the kill. Now there's another stick behind it that's what she's stalking, and that's almost what she tried to get. And now she's got her face buried in the grass. Come on, do it again. I promise you were doing just fine. We were all convinced that you were going to kill the stick. And her tail going there. I think everybody would be afraid if there were a stick, because, I mean, fierce Tlalamba is on it. She will definitely bring that stick. Maybe, who knows, maybe he'll even kill it and put it up a tree. At this point in time, I wouldn't be surprised at what she's after. Maybe she'll go in again for the kill. So this is pretty much how leopards learn how to hunt and how to behave. Not always with a stick. I think this is a bit of a unique stance. But playing and stalking and doing these things. There she goes. Judy, I agree. This is the best. She is being hilarious. And this is how she develops her skills. By playing. There's a lot of instinct at play. She will know at a base level how to do things, and that she's got to stalk and hide herself. But the more, obviously, practice makes perfect. The more she practices, the more that she's going to be able to perfect the skills and become a skilled huntress that's going to be then able to survive in the wild, and then at one point hopefully also have cubs of her own. I'm not going to move just yet. I want to wait to see if maybe she comes back for either one of her sticks, or maybe she's going to lie down there. But she already knows where to lie down so that we don't see her, taking cover, hiding behind the long grass. Ah, there was a little dove almost that came to have a drink at the pan. Maybe that's what she was looking at. Gremlins, you are saying I see sticks, if I heard that correctly. I think she does. I think she is seeing everything. Everything's a potential game. Everything's a potential prey that she can get. And it is funny, we were just commenting, it must be, if they don't entertain themselves, it must be quite lonely for a leopard cub just to keep busy. So yes, there are things that you can go and stalk, like mongoose and squirrels, but I mean, why not a stick? It plays the same part, it might still be useful. So why not? Is that your new spot? Are you going to make us move all the way down there, or are you going to stick around? Let's give her 2 minutes and find out. Maybe she's going to come back running. Maybe she's going to go back to the rhino dung that we saw earlier. That would have been quite funny because I don't know why she started. So an older leopard, sometimes when they go hunting, they try to camouflage. Oh, you're stalking. They try to camouflage their scent by rolling in some antelope dung so that their prey species do not see them coming. But she started digging almost like a cat, like a dog, sorry, just going further in. So we didn't know if there was something in there that perhaps she was interested in. Are you going to go away now? What is there? All right, we're going to keep up with Tlalamba, find out what she's up to. But in the meantime, I do think that Tristan has managed to find something very exciting for a Sunday morning.
Well, you guys have come just in time because the dogs have just arrived on Djuma. So a stroke of luck, they were going north and they all of a sudden turned and have come south, and they're running on my right-hand side at the moment. And hopefully they're going to chase some impalas because there's lots of impalas around. But I'm not sure which pack it is just yet. You can see they kind of just in front of us. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them at the moment. So I would imagine Investec breakaways. Looks like 4 adults, 4 sub-adults, which is about right. But isn't this cool? Nice to see puppies this morning, which is absolutely awesome. They're such amazing creatures. And if they go up the road in the direction that they look like they're going to head, there's a big herd of impalas that is there, and they'll be able to kind of maybe chase those down. It doesn't look like they've had too much of a meal yet. It looks like everybody's still quite skinny, so I'm sure they are going to be looking for food. But we've had a good morning, considering we've had jackal, hyenas, wild dogs, leopard, ellies. There's all kinds of things happening at this stage. And we lost our hyena and then heard that the dogs were around in Buffelshoek and thought, well, we're going to take a massive gamble. Even though they were heading north, we're going to come onto the boundary and we're going to will them to come towards us. And we somehow managed to get them to come this way. I don't know how they actually turned in the end. Maybe there was something else that kind of triggered it, but either way, really awesome to see them. So like I say, it would be Investec breakaways that would be my guess. Now, they're fairly stationary for now. I'm pretty sure they're going to move around all over the place, and we'll probably follow them for the morning. But in the meantime, let's send you across to Tlalamba, who seems to be stalking now.
Well, it just got very serious. Oh my goodness, she's got dwarf mongoose straight in front of her, so we're not going to move, we're not going to make a noise because they are definitely very curious. She's lying flat on the ground. Very, very nice leopard move that she's pulling. Lying very still, letting them approach them. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh, she missed it.
Oh, Tlalamba.
How did you miss that?
You were so close. Oh my goodness, well done, girl. I mean, this is how they learn how to hunt. That was very, very exciting. She was so close. She definitely knew that they were in there, and then she lied flat. I think she lacked a little bit of confidence because had she then put her paw down like that, she would have definitely caught one of them. So I think one of them was actually in between her legs, and I don't think she was expecting to catch one. I think that is actually what caught her by surprise, that she was efficient enough to get that right. Now she's smelling all the mongoose that were around her. Well done. So you see, she knew instinctively what to do. She saw them from a distance. She was approaching very, very slowly. And then as they started stopping and then seeing him, she went flat on the ground so that they wouldn't detect movement, so that they were confused. And they were, and they started approaching her. Now I can still hear the mongoose there, so I don't want to move because maybe she's going to try again. So I'm going to let her go a little bit further in, and she's going to decide what she's going to do. But I mean, she's put her tail up, so it's potentially an indication that she's given up or that she hasn't found another successful opportunity, or another good opportunity to try and go in there. That was incredibly exciting, especially having been talking in the morning about if she would be capable of making a kill or not. So now we know she's definitely got the skills, but practice makes perfect. I think she's perhaps a little too young, and had she had more confidence, I do not doubt that she would have perhaps waited for them and then been a little bit quicker in grabbing that mongoose. I am though a little bit happy that the mongoose managed to get back with her family, but there's almost this pride, as in like, well done Tlalamba, you're getting there, you're becoming a full leopard. Alright, so she's gone off into the ground, and I don't think she's going to be able to find the mongoose again because the grass is very long, and chances are that the mongoose have gone into a termite mound or in the thickets. There she is. She is a real leopard now, I agree. Hello. That was incredible. I feel like my heart is still beating really fast. I don't think she's fully given up on the dwarf mongoose hunt. I can still hear the mongoose all around here, and there she's on top of a termite mound. So I'm just gonna get my head out of the way. So chances are that the mongoose are all alarming, just letting all the other mongoose know that she's around. There's a predator here. There's somebody that they're not confident about. There's a mongoose there making the call. One of the sentinels letting everybody else know in this clan, listen, there's something here, just make sure that you're very careful. Leopard on the run. Well done, little mongoose. So because they're so tiny, also they have taken to the safety. Whew, what an exciting morning. Seems like everybody is out and about on the hunt, some hunting smaller things and some other biggers, but let's go back to Tristan and find out how the wild dogs are doing.
Well, everything seems to be happening. We're now trying to follow the dogs, and it's going to get rough and probably going to be quite difficult to follow them, but we're going to try our very best. They were heading roughly in the direction of where we last saw impalas, but I can't see any at the moment. Where exactly have they gone now? No, here they are. So they're running straight at us. They're just in front, kind of moving towards us. There's one that's behind here. All you can see is just ears kind of flopping and fiddling in the wind. Here comes another one right next to us. Hello, little one. That's one of the little sub-adults that's running on our sides here. But at the moment, it's all fairly placid. If they spot any impalas, it's going to turn chaotic quite quickly. And they definitely are looking around. What's interesting to me is that the adults are the ones that are, for the most part, kind of milling about at the sort of back end, and it's actually the little sub-adults that are running around in front for the kind of checking around for food. So it's almost like they're more hungry than the adults. The adults are happy just to sort of walk around and take it very easy. Hello guys, so nice to see all of you, although you are a bit obscured with all this long grass that we've got at the moment. So you've got grass everywhere, which is making life a little bit more difficult. It's much easier in the winter to see the dogs than in summer. They're not quite as tall as many of the other animals that we have. But anyway, still good to have them. And like I say, it's a stroke of luck that they've walked the way that they have. Considering where they were and what their kind of direction was, it looked like for all money they were going to go north into Manyeleti, and they've now sort of come not only south, but they're also heading now east, deeper into Djuma, which is very, very good because we're right up against close to Sydney's dam at the moment, which means that we would have had a real struggle. It would have been very difficult if they had gone south and kind of west. Obviously, it would have gone straight into Samambili. So good that we managed to catch up with them where they are. Now, look, they're off. So they're after something now. We're going to try and kind of keep up with them. Here we go. There's one that's straggling. I think they've lost what they were hunting. There's two here. Fahrenheit, you say like this is like coffee for you? Well, it is indeed. So dogs and kind of trying to follow them through these kind of places is very, very tricky. I thought they were chasing after something because they all kind of started to run, and now everybody's just stopped and is almost sort of taking stock of what's going on. But they are a bit tricky when it comes to kind of following them around because they end up running so quickly, and then you don't really know whether or not they're hunting or they're playing or what's going on. So it's always quite tricky to sort of know. But anyway, here we go. We'll try and keep up with them. Now I just need to let the guys know. Now, Gremlins, you say Ferrari Safari. It is Ferrari Safari, except not a very comfortable Ferrari Safari. It's also probably dangerous for poor Rusty, because Ferrari safaring through blocks like this is how you damage cars quite quickly, but we're going to try keep up with them. Rusty's used to it. It's been punished by Brent and Wild Dogs many a time before, and so, you know, that's how it goes. Now, I need to just let the guys know because they're all heading in the wrong direction altogether for these dogs. So I just need to let them know that they need to come this way. Yeah, guys, these dogs are mobile in a northeasterly direction back to the fire break. Where have they gone? I've lost them all now. They've gone back towards where the impalas were. Oof. I'm trying to find a way through here, but it's very tricky. Sorry, hold on, BK. There they are. Now they're on the road. Going around in circles on the roads, but it looked like I think they chased those impalas that were here. And so I also think they are having a bit of a game themselves and playing with one another. And so I believe a lot of you are enjoying the roller coaster ride. I can assure you that while you're enjoying it, I'm pretty sure BK on the back is not having nearly as much fun as you guys are. It's very bouncy when we go through blocks the way we just did. But anyway, it's worth it for dogs, and so all good. Yes, exactly. You know, BK is... has a lot of luck with wild dogs, and you find that he's seen quite a few of them, which is very, very lucky. They are obviously animals that we don't see all that often, but since BK has been around, here they come, BK, on the road. All of them are running straight towards us, which is very cool. Typical wild dog fashion. And this individual that's in this pack, that's my favorite, is the one that's second from this view. So this one here is one of the females, and then behind it is one of the boys who's got white feet. You see that? Looks like he's wearing socks, and I always enjoy watching him moving around. He's got very, very white sort of front legs, and they look a little bit different to most of the dogs. Everybody's kind of standing a bit bewildered. Did you guys miss what you were trying to chase? Now, I would imagine that these two dogs in front here, that this is maybe the alpha female and alpha male that are coming towards us. They seem to be the dogs that are often kind of going forward, and you can see her teats on her tummy there. They look as though they've kind of been used before, and so I wonder if she isn't the alpha. And here he comes as the sort of big male. He's certainly the biggest of the males that are in the group, that's for sure. Pretty dog, though, isn't he? I know a lot of people aren't too fond of dogs, but I think they're very cool looking. I like the fact that all of them are completely different, and that they have these kind of blotched markings of tans and blacks and whites, and really very, very pretty indeed. Now, there's another dog that's coming up the road as well that also has white front legs and little black feet. So he looks as though he's got his socks and his shoes on, rather than just the socks. And you'll find, I wonder if these two are actually litter mates. It would be interesting to know, because it's quite a kind of distinct marking that they've got. Now, Dory, are hyenas and wild dogs related? No, they're not. So hyenas are in the family Hyenidae, and wild dogs are in the canine family, so not related. In fact, hyenas are completely on their own, and if anything are more closely related to cats than they are to dogs. So they are not in any way part of the same family at all. Following wild dogs makes me hot. I've got this jacket on. I'm now starting to get warm, so I'm going to remove that while there's a bit of a hiatus between them. So I do apologize about the sort of ruffling noise, because it looks like they're going to go back into this horrible block, which means that we're going to have to follow them. Right, here we go. BK, you ready? do this again. Now, Trishala, this is her first experience in dogs, and I'm going to hope that they're going to sit still at some point, and then she's going to jump in the driver's seat, and we're going to test her with dogs and see whether or not she has the ability to follow them through blocks at the rate that they like to run. And so she's very excited because she hasn't seen wild dogs properly for a while. Have you, Trishala?
Yes, very much.
Exactly, there we go. Trishala's excited. So we'll see how we go. Now, sorry, Emma, you were saying something that Kathy said? I didn't hear what you were talking about. You lot, they seem to be fairly kind of up and down, and they don't seem to really know which way they actually want to go. We've kind of gone east, west, north, south. I think they're really just kind of looking around for anything, more the youngsters than the adults, and maybe they're looking for a place to settle down. It is starting to get quite warm, and so maybe they're going to start heading towards some sort of shade sections where they can then lie down. Right, let's just try to keep up with them. Now, Kathy, you were saying that it's all very exciting. It is very exciting, isn't it? Like I say, following wild dogs is one of those things that is for the adrenaline junkie in everybody. They tend to move much faster than most other animals, which obviously that's because of their sort of, I don't know, just the way that they are, really. And then on top of that, there's normally lots of them. And so when you've got lots of animals that move fast, it makes for an entertaining ride. Right, now they're still going away from us, so we're going to try and kind of get to where they are. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Commander Bond, who will be, I'm sure, thoroughly thrilled that there are wild dogs on Djuma.
We are still on our walk here, and I will tell you that we bumped into those that must not be shown or mentioned. So we're talking quite quietly. We've skirted around them. And we're now still trying to find some tracks of a leopard. We haven't found any hyena tracks at all. This is where Tristan thought he had them yesterday. But there have been rhino and baboons and all sorts all over the place. And so any leopard tracks that there were yesterday have been obliterated. So we'll go through this little section here, and I don't know where this little birthday fellow is. I wonder if these tracks weren't in fact hyenas on his way across to Torchwood yesterday. That's where he was yesterday. What we have here is the territorial scraping of a rhino. You can see how fresh it is. I don't know if you can see that. There's still moisture on this tambuti. That is the urine of a rhinoceros bull. So he's come and he's made a pee-pee over here. And then he's scraped his legs on the ground to show that this is his posse, as it were. That's actually quite cool. So you can see this very fresh. And he was just down there. Continue quietly through here. Of course, they do have superb hearing and very good sense of smell. Exactly, Martin, you say we ran into a herd of Voldemort. That is absolutely correct. Well done. I thought I was being sufficiently subtle that you wouldn't get it, but obviously I wasn't. Let's just sneak down gently through this little drainage line. It's a beautiful part of the reserve, this. Verdant and thick and lush, and feels like there's lots and lots of life around. I'll just be quiet and tell you some of the birds that we can hear. That is the orange-breasted bushshrike, of course. We can also hear a white-browed scrub robin going Cara, aged just 10 years old. Well, you want to know what we do if we see a rhino? What you have to do is the following. Are you watching, Cara? You've got to go like this. But you have to do that all very quietly, because if you don't do it quietly, they'll hear you and see you moving, which you don't want. In seriousness, the first thing you do, Cara, when you see a rhino is check the wind. That's what the sock is for. So you look which way the wind's blowing. At the moment there's no wind. It's blowing very slightly from the northeast towards the southwest. Because if the wind's blowing towards the rhino, they'll almost certainly smell you. And then you have to be very careful where you walk, because you don't want to make a noise, crunch a stick or something like that. And you can walk around them. Sometimes you can get really close to them and they don't notice. If you're very careful and you're walking with the right kind of people. But if you get it wrong with white rhino, it can be quite dangerous, because if they panic, they just start running. And if you happen to be in the way, well, then you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. So they panic, they can't see anything, and they just start to run. And so that can be quite dangerous. Let's carry on up here. Alright, I believe that Tristan's managed to catch up with the hounds. Let's go back to him now.
Indeed we have. We've caught up with them and they're sitting at a water point at the moment. So they often do this with dogs, is that they'll go and lie in water itself. It just helps cools down their body as much as possible, because they run so much. They often get quite warm, and so they run into water and they just lie down in it, have a little bit of a drink, and take it quite easy. So it's always a nice thing when you come across a little water point like this. Often you can get at least a little bit extra with the dogs, because they kind of just slow down a little bit. But listen, can you hear them squeaking at one another? Now what you will find is that they are wary of water. You can see, look how they're just kind of watching first, and they got a bit of a fright just now because a terrapin popped up in front of one of them. And you'll find that kind of makes them a little bit nervous. And so you'll see that they're just kind of going to sort of be tentative about the way that they kind of go towards the water. There we go. There we was going to go and have a nice lie down. Is that nice? It's swim time. Summer swim time for our wild dogs, and you can see they get quite deep into the water. Sometimes they'll even roll around a bit and completely submerge themselves, and that really, like I say, just helps to cool down that body. Also helps with a little bit of kind of things like ticks and the likes that will irritate them a little bit. So you'll find that they do it just for a brief period, and then off they go again, and they kind of carry on trotting. Now we're going to try and keep following them, because they're going off now towards, that one's going to grab, what have you got there? That's a piece of elephant dung. No, you don't want that. That's not nice. Elephant dung is not nice to eat. And there's one that's going to pee in the water bowl. It's typical wild dog fashion to pee in the water bowl. Other one's going to sniff it. Oh, you are being a treat. Between the hyenas and the wild dogs, we've seen just about as crude a kind of thing as one could possibly imagine, from eating lion dung to peeing in the water bowl. Right, we're going to try and follow them. This is going to get very, very intriguing very quickly. It's not pleasant where they are heading right now, and they are heading, unfortunately, towards our boundary now. There's a hyena behind us as well. You, hyena, are going to be very brave, I'm afraid, if you come anywhere near these dogs. It's a pity the dogs didn't see him, because the dogs would have given that hyena a hard time. And it's, like I say, always entertaining to watch when hyenas and wild dogs get into a tangle, because it's just an absolute kind of free-for-all when it comes to trying to sort of sort out the issues between them. All right, here we go. Oh, they found another wallow. Come on, hyena. Your dogs are here. Come try your luck. It looks like a youngish hyena too, which is often the ones that get themselves into the most trouble, because they don't really know wild dogs too well, and that means they... So, James, in the rare cases that a beta female has pups, will they survive? Yes, sometimes. If food availability is good and there's lots and lots of food around, then yes, they can do. I've seen a pack have both alphas and betas survive. It's not obviously that common, but it does happen. So, you know, for the most part, obviously it's alphas. Careful there, Trishala, you're on the right side. All right, let's get through here. Oh, they're chasing an impala behind us. That impala's running there. Let's just see where they're going. One impala just ran past us, and the dog that was closest to us didn't chase. There they go, they're chasing. Hold on. Just trying to catch up with them. They ran off in this direction. Where did you guys go? The last one I saw was running this way with impalas kind of in front of it. Where are you guys? Often the problem with dogs is you lose them quite quickly if they're chasing things. I'm just trying to see if I can see them. I don't see where they went. They look like they went... There's a big stump there. Where are we gonna get out of this block? I don't know which way they ended up going. I just saw one tearing after an impala. It was standing stationary in front of us and then just all of a sudden decided it's gonna go, and the impala was running off in the distance. And this is what happens, is that they go into 10 different directions and you've got to try and kind of figure out which is the closest way. But let's just fly up the road quickly. There's impala running there. Hold on. Caro, oh no, you fell off. Well, don't worry, hop back on. You can still see, I saw impala running on my left-hand side towards us. So I'm just going to try and keep up roughly with the speed that it was running in the hope that the dogs are maybe this side and end up catching it. I don't see any dogs though. There's hyena, so it's, you know what, hyenas are also next best for the win, because hyenas will often hear if a dog pulls something down and will try and kind of follow it. Ooh, there's a big bump, hold on guys. Come on. Okay, so this is the last time I saw an impala running, was here. I've got a hyena here as well, and if the dogs have killed, they make a lot of noise. All the viewers are saying, oh my goodness, there's an impala there that's looking fairly okay and relaxed for now. Oof, this is just chaos, as is normal with wild dogs, actually. This hyena doesn't look too stressed. It looks like it might be in Djuma. The spot pattern is quite bright. But I don't know where the dogs went. They were chasing impalas all around here. I just saw impalas running in 10 different directions, and the dogs kind of in behind different ones. So there's it looks like in Djuma. She's got her nose to the ground. If something had been killed, that hyena would have reacted incredibly quickly to what's going on. So let's try and just reposition ourselves somewhere close to sandy patch, open clearing, and maybe we'll get lucky with being able to find where the dogs went. But they tore off after impalas, and so they could really be in any direction at the moment. You can also see it's not exactly friendly inside here for off-roading. In fact, it's very, very tricky to actually see where we're going at this stage. Dogs, did you have to hunt here where it is as hard as it is to get through? Right, well, we're going to try and see if we can figure out where these have all gone and see if I can find the dogs again. While we do that, though, let's send you back across to Ali, who's got Kalamba, who's doing her best to entertain as much as the dogs are.
Sounds like Lalamba and the wild dogs are in sync, because she's also abandoned her spot. I think she got a bit embarrassed after the whole dwarf mongoose incident. So she's just come into a block where it's a little bit thicker. The grass is very long, and we actually lost her for a bit, and then we found her running around again in the middle of the road, rolling, and she's been having a blast. She's been very funny. She's been doing exactly what she's doing now. So she'll come down, start sniffing, potentially for either Tundi or maybe something that she wants to try and hunt. And then all of a sudden she sees a tree that she likes. She runs up to the tree, and she's fallen down off the trees for a few times because she's not choosing quite sturdy trees. She's not too heavy, but she's perhaps been jumping on the wrong ones. What can you smell there? Was there another mongoose, or was your mom around? I am secretly hoping there's a bit of a fallen over branch not too far, just a few meters from where she is, so hopefully she'll stay there and then she'll give us a very nice view, because she is so small, she's been doing what a lot of the cats do. She looks for a vantage point just to be able to see further away, and I mean, I do it often, and that's why I rely so much on Seb, because he's higher than me. He can see a little bit better than what I can, more at ground level. So Lalamba's obviously learned this trick, so she either goes up a termite mound, scans the area, see what's out there, goes down, and then jumps up on the next tree, see what's up there, and then comes back down again and then carries on. So it seems like she's been having fun. I think she's definitely a lot more active, and she's managed to combat off the sleep. Ironically, it did seem like she was really, really sleepy and starting to get tired, but now it's playtime again. Come on, jump on this tree. That would have been so cool. Anyway, that is the branch that I was hoping she was gonna come onto. Oop. Running around. We're gonna try to keep up with her, because it seems like she is prancing in the long grass again. But in the meantime, we will send you guys across all the way back to James on bushwork, as apparently he's also got something interesting on the ground.
From a very active cat to a not so active reptile, we do have here a Speaks hinged tortoise. Now, my name is Lauren. Mr. Hendry has moved off to the side, and Davy is still on camera. So our little guy here is on the move, and I'm just wanting to see if we can get a little bit closer to our tortoise here without disturbing it, and see if we can show you exactly how fast these guys can move. Now, it knows I'm here. It's not scared, but it knows I'm here, so it's being very, very cautious around me. But it's slowly popping its head out and making sure that it's okay to get on the move. It's okay, little one. I'm not able to tell if it's a boy or a girl right now. I'm just going to have a look. Get right behind. I can't see a tail. Normally, if there's a longer tail, that indeed means it is male. Females have a much shorter tail, and I'm not going to pick it up and look at the plastron to have a look either. So, if we take a little look at the shell, now we know this is not a leopard tortoise because their shell is way more dome-shaped than the Speaks hinged. The Speaks hinged is a lot flatter, and you see each little shape here, it's more like a sort of hexagon shape. That's called a scute. So when you're looking at a turtle, this shell is actually made from bone with keratin layers on top. Hello, little guy. So these scutes that run down the ridge here, I'm not going to touch it, but you can see the middle ones here. They're called the vertebral scutes. So just like our spine being the vertebrae, that's what these ones are called. Oh wow, it's really on the move. It's going underneath David. And then if you can just see the next layer of scutes, these are the coastal scutes, and then you have the marginal scutes. So it's actually a very structured shell, more so than you would think. And a lot of people think you can age a tortoise because they have these rings on each scute. Now, these rings do come with age, just like a tree ring, I guess, but it's not possible or accurate to use for the age of a tortoise. They rub against things as they move, they get destroyed, so it's not possible to age a tortoise by just looking at these rings. If you were to age it, you have to look at the size of the carapace. So, from the top here, at the nuchal scute, or the neck scute to the base of the carapace. That's how you judge age, not by looking at these little rings here. There's a comment, we love how they move. Yes, me too. And he's definitely trying to get away from us now. If you're able to just come and have a little look at the feet, you can see here, David, it's actually got little claws. Are you able to see them?
Yeah.
And this is because they walk on land. So, for example, a sea turtle would not have these. They would have flippers, which are used for, obviously, paddling itself through the ocean. But here they have really pronounced and really sharp little claws, so it's more like feet than it is like flippers. And of course we also know it's beak's hinged because there's a hinge on either side at the back of the shell. Fern saying we're making David do camera yoga. Yes, of course. He needs to do more exercise. This is the perfect start to the day. He doesn't do enough. He's very lazy. Very, very lazy. So if you look at the size of my hands next to it, it's kind of almost the size of my hand. So it's really not a big tortoise. And if you look at the height of it, it's really not that tall either. So it's much smaller than the leopard one. So we're going to let this little guy continue on his journey, and I have to send across to someone. I have no idea who it is, but let's make it a surprise.
Well, as you can see, the chaos has temporarily subsided. The dogs have worn themselves out and are all just kind of having a bit of a sleep. And these two that are sitting in front, I was just saying to Trishala and BK that I'm wondering if maybe the two of them are not related and are from the same litter. They have very, very similar markings, similar size, similar sort of age. Both are boys, and everywhere the pack goes, they go together, which is an interesting kind of thing. You often don't see that from male wild dogs, but maybe they distributed from another pack and have joined into this, and or for some reason have split off and they were litter mates, and that's why they've got such a tight bond. And the markings being so similar, if you look at the front legs of both of them, very white in coloration, it could very well be possible that they were part of the same litter, and that's why they're so bonded and staying very close to one another. But you can see they're getting tired now. I think it's starting to warm up quite a bit. They just had their last sort of chase. There were two hyenas milling about. They didn't really kind of go after the hyenas too much, and so you'll find that in all likelihood maybe it's now time to have a bit of a break, but it'll be the adult female that will dictate whether or not they move. You see, if she moves, there goes the boys following, and that will then drag the rest of the pack to kind of go with. Now, in terms of mating, we should be seeing mating dogs fairly soon. This is around the time of year when the dogs do start to mate, and females going into estrus. Remember, they have quite a short gestation period until such time as they den, and the denning season should be now in sort of May, June, July, sometimes August, but generally it's sort of May and June is the sort of best time. Sometimes you'll get denning very late in the season, and even sometimes a second litter, which can be sort of September, but it's almost unheard of in South Africa. Up in the Mara, the dogs that you see there, well, it's very different. Those dogs up in the Mara, they den at any time of the year, and the reason that they think for this change and why it's different down here as opposed to there is all to do with impalas. So impalas up there don't have a fixed breeding season or rut. They are constantly kind of breeding throughout the year, and then lambs are available throughout, as well as tommies and various other antelope species that dogs will hunt. Whereas down here in South Africa, there's an explosion of young animals in the summer season, and so that means it's a good time for puppies who are just starting to come out of their den sites to start being able to sort of hunt and find food and to feed that pack size. So it's why there's probably that difference between the two. Good. These dogs are stationary for now. They've stopped with their hunting for the time being, but it sounds like Kalamba is once again up to her stalking tactics.
Seems like quite a morning following little Tlalamba through the long grass of Torchwood. She seems to have picked up on something. We cannot see what it is from here, and we obviously do not want to move in case we flush it towards her or away from her, so we just want to let her play this thing out in her own terms. She's had her nose against the ground on a few occasions, and she's been doing a bit of a phlegm and grimace, so I'm sure that she can smell Tundi or perhaps another leopard that was around here a little bit earlier on. But in this particular case, I think there might be something that she would want to stalk. So we saw earlier after the dwarf mongoose, perhaps there's an antelope hiding in there, perhaps Tundi is somewhere around, and I'm sure she can see something that we cannot. So I don't want to get in her way, just so that we can see what's actually happening. Maybe whatever it is will run away, she'll get her head up and then just start walking in that general direction. She does seem to have a purpose in her walk. So I wonder if she's not actually starting to look for her mom, or if she just definitely got absolutely bored. Okay. She doesn't seem too concerned with what's there. You see she's almost lied a little bit sideways, so more of a relaxing stance rather than her stalking or looking for something. So straight ahead, we're going to wait for a little while and see how she behaves. And then we're going to peer a little bit ahead of us to see what she's actually looking at. But whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be bothering her too much. She's, like I said, her front pose she's lying on. But if you look towards the side, she's almost got that side stance or that side lying down that leopards do. So I don't think she's too concerned, or she's not actively hunting or stalking anything right now. Wonder what it is. Kalamba, you are on a mission this morning. Dory. Well, knowing her, it could be a Dory. It could be another stick. There are plenty, and she's been climbing up in the trees and doing all sorts of silly things. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something there that she wants to play with. I think what we're going to do, seeing that she's relaxed already, we're going to go a little bit forward, see if perhaps we can see what it is that she's looking at. Maybe, who knows, maybe she's decided this is her new spot to sleep, because it's almost like she's got that head facing down that leopards do when they start going to sleep. So maybe she's finally, whoop, there was a hole there. You okay, Seb?
Yeah.
All right, well, we went through a hole. Exciting times. So maybe she's just chosen this as her new place to sleep. Nothing around here, actually. So if you look in front of us, unless she can see or hear or smell something that we cannot, if you look in front of us, there's nothing that obvious that comes to mind. There are no bigger antelope that I can see. I don't see any dikers or any smaller antelope either around here. I definitely do not see another leopard. So I think maybe your good little Tlalamba has just decided that is a spot to go sleep in. I'm gonna try to go around like this, see if maybe we can see her face. Otherwise, we're gonna go back to the same spot where she was. Now, hopefully no holes here. I don't want to lose Sebastian. Like we almost did. There she is. I think someone's gone back to the sleepy stage of the game. She has been running around like a little hooligan, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's actually now decided to go to sleep. Odd place for you to go to sleep. I would have imagined you would have gotten a little bit more under the bush. But the weather's nice. It's not too hot, so you can play it there. She has been very alert the whole morning. So as I say, I have a feeling there's more than meets the eye. Perhaps at a level that unfortunately our eyes, our ears, and our nose cannot pick up. It is fascinating, though, that she has been able to pick all these cues up, and just shows that even from such a young age, her senses are sharper than ours. But, again, definitely sleepy time. I don't know if she's going to be able to fight this one off as she did the last time. I think the last time with the water and the stick, it was just too much of a good opportunity not to fall asleep. It's almost like she's in constant battle with herself, like, I want to play, but I'm so tired, but I want to carry on playing. Sleepy, sleepy Tlalamba. Are you done for the day now? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you up. I wasn't judging you or anything. I was just wondering what you were going to do. So sweet. Squinty eyes, as you say, Emma, definitely. Very, very sweet. I mean, you could go to sleep, Tlalamba. Nobody would judge you. You've put on a good show. You've kept a lot of people entertained. And who knows, perhaps earlier, Seb did mention that you did say that there was a hyena lurking around the area yesterday, so maybe that's why she wasn't completely relaxed where we were earlier at the pan, and then why she decided to move away. Perhaps she knew that the hyena was still around, or she could hear it in the distance, and decided to come into a different area where she cannot hear anything. She's pretty confident that there's nothing here that's going to come and get her, so maybe she'll come around and decide to chill here for the day. Now, if Tandy were to come around and start looking for her, and if she went back to the dam where we were earlier, likely she would still make a lot of noise to try and get her to come back to where she is. And then obviously if she doesn't come running straight away, which we know that Lalamba sometimes doesn't do, then that's when Tandy starts becoming more and more vocal. Because as you can see, she's walked a bit of a distance from where Tandy left her earlier. So if she walks a bit of a distance and she starts chuffing or contact calling too close to the dam, Lalamba might not be able to hear her. So the louder she gets, and even if from this distance, then Lalamba will be able to hear her. I think there was a comment about the ears of Lalamba not being very small in comparison to those of the wild dogs. I agree. Although she seems to have big ears even for her size, definitely nobody beats the size of the ears of the wild dogs. Chris, you were the one that was mentioning or comparing the size difference of Tlalamba's ears to those of the wild dogs. Definitely. So while Tlalamba's got the added advantage that if she cannot see or cannot hear, she can go on top of a tree or a termite mound or stumble. Wild dogs would also be able to go on top of a termite mound. Wild dogs have those big ears because they need to rely on other senses, especially in the long grass areas, to be able to pinpoint where either predators or prey are. Whereas Lalamba doesn't need such big ears because she can compensate with other skills, other abilities to make up for those. It would look hilarious though if we had like leopards with the ears the size of wild dogs. I reckon they would potentially be unbeatable. Alrighty, seems like while our sleepy cat is deciding what to do with her life, the wild dogs with Tristan have come back to life.
Yeah, indeed, they have woken up. And, well, Ali, you don't have to imagine too much when it comes to thinking of Lalamba with wild dog ears, because you just have to think of her her older brother, Tamba, because at one point he had ears like a wild dog and looked quite funny. But you can see the hyenas the wild dogs are a bit restless. I say hyenas because there's a hyena coming up on our left-hand side and is moving in its general direction. I think it's just watching the dogs in the hope that the dogs catch something and then can try and be brazen enough to come in and steal it. But dogs are kind of milling. They don't really seem to know what they really want to do, and so they're kind of just sitting around and hoping for something, I think, just to pop out of nowhere for them. But at this stage, it's all fairly sort of calm. I'm pretty sure it's going to not stay this way. Pretty sure things are going to get a little bit out of control at some point once again, as they've been twice already this morning. But you can see the dogs that are just sitting now. Because I just want to see which hyena we've got here. There's a hyena. Don't move now, hyena. Stay where you are. So it's just on straight through there. You should be able to see it. So I'm just trying to see who we've got. Bushes, get out the way. Hyena, really? Move. To the right, come on. No, not listening to me now. It's decided that's where it wants to stand. It's behind the tree, so I can't actually even see who it is. But there's two hyenas that are milling on the back end of these wild dogs, and this particular hyena is being very passive-aggressive with us. It's like almost as to say, I'll stay where I can be stationary, but I'm not going to show you who exactly I am. I'm just going to kind of hide myself behind foliage and branches and trees and all kinds of other things. Okay, fine, be like that. We won't look at you then anymore. We'll look at the wild dogs. Since you don't want us to see you, that's fine. We've got other things to look at, and so the puppies will be what we will kind of try and rather view. That's going to lie down behind there, so don't worry about that, BK. That's not going to work. Let's try and reposition slightly, because everybody's now lying down in the long grass and can't really see anything of what's going on, really. So I'm going to just try and reposition slightly. I was hoping that they were going to lie in a little bit more of an open clearing. It was quite nice earlier because they were all sort of milling about in a nice sort of clearing, and it was a very nice kind of way to actually start to look at the dogs a little bit more in depth, but they've now moved. yourself, you're asking if you wonder if the wild dogs and hyenas are looking for a fight. No, I'm pretty sure. Oh, hello, spider. Spider to the face, everybody. Hold on, we're de-webbing, making sure that I don't have an orb web on me anyway. No, I think we're all good. So the hyenas, maybe. The hyenas are looking for food more than anything else. And the dogs, well, they know that there's no real point in actually fighting with hyenas now. They'll save their energy for if they kill something, that they can then be able to fight with them over the food rather than having to deal with them now. So hyenas are just being clever. They're just following the dogs in the hope that there's going to be some sort of meal that's going to kind of come their way. Right, doggies look like they're going to start trotting again. Of course they are. Okay, let's turn around and see if we can follow them through the forest that is this block once again. Kind of all milling about just in front here. Hey guys. It's difficult actually when its grass is long like this, because all you see is little ears twitching in places, and you don't want to drive too close to them and chase them, so you always kind of try and give it a bit of space. Ali, have I ever found a wild dog den or seen pups of a wild dog? Yes, I have. I've been fortunate, and I've had 4 different wild dog dens actually, that I've spent time at. And so one on Singita, one on Kirkman's when I was at Lion Sands. There was one on Londolozi Boundary for a while, with Arathusa Private, which we could go to when we were in Simambili. And where was the other one now? I'm forgetting. There was one more. Oh, there was 2 on Singita. Sorry. My apologies. And there was actually one on, which was before I was actually a qualified guide, when I was still training. There was one on a place called Dudley, which was just kind of south of where Singita's Traverse. It's south of actually Londo's, but Singita traverses there. So spent some time on that one too. So quite a few dens actually. Been quite fortunate in many respects to see lots of puppies. It's the best thing ever. And I've been to the den of in Timbavati as well with Grant. The one time he took me to the den at Makani, which was in 2017. I went to that den, and that was very epic. They had lots of little puppies, and they were going crazy, and they were still tiny at that stage. They were still young, and I just need to quickly just help one of the guys because they're giving the wrong directions. Yeah, Chris, we're on Vuatela access. So just come Vuatela access towards, as though you're going towards the power lines. We're halfway between Aubrey's now and Sandy Patch. Chris, you copy that? Chris. Now, people are not answering the radio, which is not ideal, so we're going to have to see if we can fit through here. BK, how's our camera doing there? We good? Excellent. Right, let's try and see if we can wing our way through. This is an area that the dogs like to spend quite a bit of time. Actually, I've seen the dogs here a few times. When they Ngala kind of distribution happened, where a couple of the dogs from Ngala joined them, this is where they spent a few days, was in this area. So it's a place that you do see the dogs quite regularly. Where have you gone, all of you little puppies? You seem to have been running in this general direction. David, yes, what is more strenuous, workouts or wild dog following? I think wild dog following in some respects, because in a workout at least you don't get slapped by your weights, whereas out here you get slapped by branches and trees and various other things as well, which makes life a little bit more tricky. So I'd say wild dog is more abusive on your... It would be an interesting workout if you had to dodge weights while you were working out and have flat pieces of metal thrown at you. I don't know where these dogs have gone. I've lost them. I've lost the dogs, which is not good. Right. It seems as though they have gone somewhere else. I don't see them anymore. Oh, here's one right here. Oh, there goes. That just goes to show you my vision is not very good. There's one that's fairly close to us, which is nice. They're just inside over there. Still milling about at this stage. Really don't seem to be in too much of a general direction. Maybe this is where they're going to lie. Have you made yourself a bed there? That one seems to have bedded down in a long piece of grass and looks very happy with itself, doesn't it? Yes, you do look happy with yourself, rather pleased that you found yourself a nice spot to go and lie down in. You can see they're starting to get warm as well. There's a bit of panting, and that's par for the course with wild dogs. The amount of movement that they exhibit through the day and through the morning means that they often build up heat, as we were talking about earlier, when they bath and those kind of things, and that means that they will then start to try and kind of find areas of shade where they can settle. But it's the alpha female that's dragging them. She's off again now. Everybody else wants to lie down, but the alpha female is kind of moving, and that means that everybody is right. Let's see if we can see anything. Right, now we're going to sit here and just see what happens and whether or not we get anything else that happens with the dogs. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you across to Lauren, who's apparently hijacked the bushwalk from James.
Well, our adventures are not quite on the same scale as what seems to be going on the other side with Tristan and Mr. Lamba and the wild dogs. However, we have found a very interesting feather. Actually, I think this side is more beautiful. So take a look at this. It is very small. You can see, I'm just going to move it next to one of my fingers. It's probably the size of my middle finger here. Now, we were having a discussion about exactly what this feather could be and which bird it could come from. Now, there was a bit of debate, but we're wondering if any of you could share your thoughts on what you think or where you think this feather has come from. Now, the main consensus here was that it actually comes from a chagra. So I am not entirely sure. It's very beautiful. It's got that fawny red tone to it and a black tip at the end. So you're welcome to share any of your thoughts on that using the hashtag safariLIVE. But we're really not sure. We didn't see the bird, so we're not sure. It's just a bit of a guess at the moment that we think it could have came from a chagra bird. Oh, Gary said it's colour coordinated with my shirt. Thank you, Gary. I actually might attach it to my shirt and keep it as the permanent feature. Oh, Chris said an African cuckoo. Interesting. Okay. I'm not sure. We honestly don't know. We just think, I think it could be right that it could actually be from a chagra, but we're not sure. So keep your suggestions coming in as we walk and talk. Now, going down this hill backwards is going to be a very interesting experience. Might have to sidestep it all the way down because I do not want to fall on my bottom. That would not be fun, would it? So being out here on the walk is completely different from what it actually is when you're on the vehicle. A completely different experience. One, you don't run the risk of actually breaking or crashing the car. And two, you've got to be a lot more alert. You've got to use your eyes, your sense of smell, your ears, everything. You've got to be on high alert. There's not really a moment where you can just go by and not exactly pay attention. So it's a great experience to be with you out here on walk, looking at the little things. Now, I was actually hoping to find a spider of some sort to kind of share my fear with you and get over it with you. However, we haven't came across any, so maybe that is a good thing. We are being signalled to be quiet over here, so I'm not sure what is up ahead, but I will have to drop my tone. We have Rex and James with us, of course, and they are giving us a signal to lower our voice. So we're just going to walk very slowly over this way. I'm really not sure what it is. Please don't fall, David. James is waiting eagerly, so let's see what is up ahead. Okay. So it is an elephant up ahead, okay? So let's see exactly what we can get. We can't see them, we can just hear them. So James has obviously heard the elephants while I have been talking to you, and they are somewhere in this direction. So while we look for them, let's send you across the alley and see how Tlalamba's doing.
Seems like the little princess has finally surrendered to the gods of sleep. I think the Greek goddess of sleep is, Morpheo. I don't know the name in English, but she's definitely embracing his arms right now, because she moved a little bit. She came across and stood in front of the car for a little while, and then she was like, no, cannot keep fighting this. I'm too tired. I've been playing. I've been running. It's too exhausting. It's too exhausting being a little rebellious little cat that just wants to play around, hunt mongoose, and climb trees. So I think she was long overdue a nice nap, and she looks very sweet. Very, very sweet, just sleeping down there. I don't know if perhaps she knows that Tandi has been around. I don't know if the scent that she was picking up earlier is perhaps that of Tandi when she was hunting last night, because Tandi was also left in Torchwood after she had made that kill. So I wouldn't be surprised that Tlalamba's almost on top of her scent, and she's decided to approach her, come a little bit closer into the area where she thinks Tandi was perhaps last seen. But even if Tandi were to go back to Guaripan, it's not too far. So if she called for Tlalamba over there, I'm sure she would eventually be able to hear her. And as we saw now, she's definitely honed some of her skills, and she knows what's going on, and at least we do know that she knows how to stalk. So she'll be able to, if she really has to, potentially get herself a snack here and there. Excuse me. She just needs to, I would say she just needs to build up confidence, because she almost had it, or she practically had it, and then I think she was surprised that she got it, and that's what got in her way. So it's been an emotional roller coaster for her as well this morning. The stick, the mongoose, the trees, falling off trees. It's not easy being a little leopard cub, is it, Tlalamba? I think she's sound asleep. I don't think she could fight it off anymore. She started again with that little tilt of the head, going down and then just going a little bit further down, and then she was dead. And it's been a crazy day this morning, or a crazy morning, I must say, because the day is not finished yet, with wild dogs all over the show. It seems like they kept Tristan and Trishala very entertained this morning, and then Tlalamba for sure kept us very entertained, and it seems like quarantine is just elephant central this morning. So lots of things happening. It's been quite a good morning, and little did we know that it was all going to start with the impala calls, or the alarm calls out in the wild, that were going to lead us to all the different options and all the different paths we've chosen today, from that to, the jackal, to then looking for different leopards coming off on a different road that we had imagined, and then all of a sudden the wild dogs deciding to pop up. Not a bad morning. Not a bad morning at all.
Good Sunday.
Yeah, good Sunday. Sunday fun day, as they say. So I think definitely today we all won. I think Tlalamba perhaps won the spots. She's very, very tired. I think in the next few minutes we're actually going to leave her. We're going to just make sure that she gets a good day rest. She's looking like she doesn't really care anymore about anything around her, and I don't think she's going to be all that active anymore, especially as it's going to start getting a little bit hotter now. There are a few spots for her to hide if she has to, and then she can go climb up the marula that's not too far away. I reckon that would be very nice for the TV show this evening. Would be very nice if we get Tlalamba up in the marula tree. Any leopard on a marula tree is stunning. But who knows? Maybe she will, maybe she won't. But I'm sure that if she is around, she will keep everyone entertained. Right, Tlalamba, I'm going to say thank you to you for all the entertainment that you've given us, but I think we're going to let you sleep now that you've decided that it's enough. Very tired. And we are going to try and find our way back, because neither Seb nor I have a map, so we have no idea where we're going. Seems like Tristan, though, he does know where he's going, and he's following the wild dogs, so let's go over to him and catch up with them.
Well, Ali does have a map. I've sent it to her, so she just needs to check her phone. I sent it to her just now, and so she'll be able to find her way just fine, and be able to get out of Torchwood. But still with the dogs, there's some impalas that I can see way in the distance down the road, but there's a few vehicles that will be blocking it for BK. But dogs are just kind of milling about. There's a bit of talking that's going on, and for the most part, don't seem too interested in really kind of actively hunting. It seems as though they're almost just trying to find a place to kind of rest for the day, but there's this drive maybe by the alpha female to eat. She's the skinniest of the group by the looks of things, and so I suppose there's, in a way, she's hungry, and so she'll drag the rest of the pack around, but you can't really see where the impalas are now, but there's definitely impalas on the road itself, and so hopefully if they go down straight along this road, they'll be able to kind of pick up where those impalas are. The impalas have stopped and looked in this direction. I'm pretty sure they've seen 3 cars and think to themselves, what is going on here? Impalas are not silly animals. They often know exactly what's going on, and so they'll kind of try and sort of have a look and try and kind of figure out what's happening. A lot of them have learned that we create... I'm not sure if I want to go into this block right now. These guys are going to move forward. Then let's try and see if we can get a view from here, because it's much easier to follow wild dogs on a road than it is off-road. And so we'll try see. Brendan, you're asking if a wild dog's heart is abnormally big in comparison to other animals to help them run for longer. I'm not sure, actually. In comparatively speaking, I don't think so. I mean, I've never really read anything about a big heart or bigger lung capacity or anything like that. I think it's more just their build than anything else. They're not nearly as bulky as what you see from something like a lion or a leopard, and that lighter weight is probably a lot easier to carry around, coupled with the fact that they've got quite long legs that are skinny. I suppose they just kind of designed for it, but it'd be interesting to know. I would be quite keen to kind of see if anybody's got any research on to whether their heart is bigger in proportion. Now, I'm not sure where the dogs are. Obviously, we've got a few vehicles in front of us, as you can see, and so you're stuck looking at me for now until such time as the dogs decide to move, although they sound like some of them are behind me, but I think everybody is kind of just looking at them. So Chris is saying that he can see them. I don't see them at the moment, but we'll try and just reposition ourselves. Let's just go back a little bit and give ourselves a bit of height, because height is often the best sort of advantage that one... Oh, here they are, right here, on my right-hand side. So they're just moving parallel with us at the moment, kind of slowly sort of milling about. It doesn't really look like they're doing too much. The problem with them is that they blend in so well. I mean, that one's just disappeared now, so chances of really seeing it is very difficult. You can just see ears every now and then walking about, and what they're doing is they kind of, some of them are... Can you hear that? It's a very cool sound. Always like when you hear that speaker. I'm going to go forward a bit for you because you'll get a better view if I roll forward. There we go. So that will help BK a little bit. There's one dog that's standing up still. The audio that you're hearing is just them kind of sort of greeting one another. Often when they are kind of milling about like this, and the youngsters go up to the adults and to each other, there'll be that kind of squeaking that's taking place, and that's all just to reaffirm bonds more than anything else. But it's amazing. If you drove past here now, you would have zero idea that there's wild dogs sitting right next to the road. And if you kind of come out like that, there's 8 wild dogs lying there, but you cannot see a thing. It looks as though there is nobody there, so it's pretty crazy when you think about it. Good. We're going to sit here a little bit longer. We'll see if they start getting up and going towards those impalas. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you back across to Lauren, who's now doing some trees, which should be interesting.
Actually spend that much time looking at the marula. No, we probably not. It's a very large one. When I came here, the feature for looking at a marula, I was told, is that it looks like someone's taken an ice cream scooper. I think that's the name of that piece of cutlery, that you can actually just scoop out big bits of the bark, and it looks like someone's used an ice cream scooper and just done that all the way up the tree, and that's actually a really cool way to identify it. Now, if you look here, this whole area is caked in mud. Now, it's not fresh, it's old mud. Now, this has most likely been done by an elephant. So this is most likely being done by an elephant, and of course it's not fresh, it's not wet, and the elephant has managed to get it way taller than I am. So it's up to here. I can almost just reach it. So I was actually looking for some fruit on the ground to show you, but believe it or not, I can't actually find any marula fruit. Can you believe it? Normally they're everywhere, and when you actually want to find one, you cannot find one. Now, I am obviously new to the marula tasting fruit, but I have tasted it a lot now, and believe it or not, the fruit is so high in vitamin C. It's almost 4 times that of an orange, and it's a tiny fruit. It's maybe like maybe this size, and an orange is this size, and it's got almost 4 times the amount of vitamin C. It's a shame we can't actually find one. But the nut inside, however, I do have one that I prepared earlier, a rather smelly one, and it had been in the elephant tongue. And look at it, it does actually look like the bottom of an elephant's trunk, don't you think? Or nostrils. Or a nose. Oh, something like this. So this is obviously a very old one, and this one, the nuts inside has actually been eaten by a squirrel, not an elephant. So these nuts that are inside this casing are actually full of omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids, which are both very, very good for you, and they're an incredible source of protein. So if you do lack protein, or you don't eat meat like myself, you can actually eat these nuts and you'll get a lot of protein from these. I'm going to hold this really, really small, and for now, I'm back to the sound of dogs.
Well, we've lost the wild dogs for now. We're trying to find them again. They just went running off all of a sudden, as dogs do. And so we're trying to keep up with them. Now, apologies for the bushwalk. There's a few gremlins about, and is why you will find that it looks like there is a bit of out of sync. But I can smell the dogs, I just can't see them. So they're somewhere close by. They've got a very pungent smell to them, but I don't see where they've gone. Unfortunately, though, it looks like it's that time of the day, though, where we're going to have to say goodbye to all of you guys. And so I'm going to stop so that I can be good and say goodbye nicely and not bounce around all over the place. I don't think we're going to get a last view of the dogs, but they've headed deeper into Djuma, so we should see them later. Anyway, from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's been a crazy morning, and we'll see you all this afternoon for the Sunset Safari.